Is there a card in there? Okay.
This is the Refuge Project.
This is the Refuge Project. The Refuge Project is the place that we can have meaningful conversation in a safe place.
There we go.
Mostly safe. Mostly meaningful.
We're back.
We're back.
2 weeks in a row, baby.
Nice.
I'm here.
Nice.
I'm glad you hit the right button.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Y'all want to tell the people who's here with us?
We got a special guest today. We got Jason David.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
There's a lot of people here.
There's more than you know.
Okay, so just to right off the top,
Yes, sir.
Jason David,
Yes.
2 first names.
Kind of.
Is there a last name?
There is.
Okay.
So, okay, my first name is Jason. My middle name is David. My last name is Slider. My social is,
Keep going. Somebody write this down.
my
Take
mom's
notes.
maiden name. No, so Slider, but it's spelled weird, so people keep pronouncing it Slutter.
Okay.
And
I can see why you go a different
it's
direction.
very hard when you're about to preach, and then the pastor is like, "Please welcome Slutter."
David Slut.
Yeah. So I ended up going by my first and middle name, Jason David. My mom actually let my 5-year-old brother name me when I was born.
I mean, yeah.
5 years old. That's so much power.
Y'all from California?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I don't know, I was this close to being called Poop Nugget or something. You know, he's 5. That's so much power. But he named me after his best friend, Jason. And
Cool.
David, so.
So,
Hey, so wait, real quick. Okay, go ahead. No, you go first.
No, because we've known you for a few years now here at the
Yeah.
church, and the first time that our paths crossed, I looked you up and I said, Jason David, that's the Green Power Ranger.
There is a Green Power Ranger.
Yeah, and I think that was the year that he died. So whenever they say, hey, the pastor was like, we have a guy named Jason David coming to the church. And
Sorry.
I'm like, no.
It can't be the Green Power.
The Green Power. I was so excited.
Oh, I'm
And then
sorry. Wow.
And then I found out. Oh,
A bunch of people just turned off the podcast. They thought the Green Power Ranger was back.
Right? They're like, nah, forget
Oh,
it.
it's a different
That's that
Jason
Slutter
David.
guy.
Yeah.
Resurrection.
no, yeah, but anyway, that was a sad story.
Hey, the Blue Power Ranger goes to Crosby, don't he?
Does he?
No, it was the Green.
Oh, it was the Green Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he actually
Wah, wah,
he's
wah.
local.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
you know,
had a gym here and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
What was it, American Ninja Warrior, or was it
I forget.
some kind of martial art thing?
That was an MMA, I
Something.
think. MMA gym. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of California, shout out to California because over the last year, they've been our #1 state outside of Texas.
Hey, what's up?
For listeners, so shout out to them. Shout out to Singapore, Brazil,
Yeah.
Canada, China, South Africa. Y'all been killing it all year long.
I'm still not sure you are real people in these other countries here listening. That doesn't make any sense to me that somebody sitting in Singapore is.
or like the Nigerian prince.
Yeah, I'm not really convinced, but
Well, we have.
I hope it's real. And
This
thanks
is the
for
thing.
listening.
We support over 100 missionaries.
That is true.
So
yes.
they're taking our podcast probably and
We got somebody in
listening and sharing
Singapore.
it and-
I'm trying to think.
yeah, we
List
got people
in my
all
head.
over the world.
Okay.
Obviously, because we're not reaching South Africa.
Well, we definitely have missionaries that we support in South Africa.
Yeah,
I can
for
think
sure.
of like 1 or 2.
Canada,
Singapore, I can't
I'm
think
not
of it.
very for sure if we're like reaching Canada with
Yeah.
our
We
missionaries.
We need to send some missionaries
Canada,
to Florida.
they need it. Yeah.
Yeah, Canada needs it just as much as California.
It sounds like we're reaching
I
California.
think California has more guns than Canada, right? Y'all got gangs.
We do.
So,
He's from Texas now. He ain't from there.
he's from there.
I'm from.
He's like
yeah, I'm
he's from
San Diego,
everywhere, man. He's
but
like that
I got
country
out just like.
So is there a difference
Elon
between
Musk.
as far as political views between North and South
Oh
California?
yeah, North California wants to separate and be a separate state from
Yeah.
South. Yeah, it's night and day difference.
Okay, that's how Texas feels with everybody else.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
there's
we wanna
Austin
separate.
and then there's everyone else.
Yeah.
We don't want to separate. That's just you, dude.
Oh no, it's just
No,
me.
we want to stay part of the U.S.,
Do
the
we?
strongest, most powerful country in the world. We
We
don't want
wanna
to
be
go
like-
do our own thing.
No.
So-
I think we want to be like Puerto Rico,
no,
right? Be our own, but still be a part.
No.
Like Canada.
we don't want to
Like
be Puerto
nobody
Rico.
messes with us because we're like, connected.
Because nobody respects them or likes them.
Oh my God.
No,
We do
it's
not
because
want,
when they're connected to the United States and nobody's going to attack
Everybody
them.
knows that they are America's hat.
Why? Why do you think nobody messes with Mexico?
I love how you guys
People
said
are
shout
always
out
Mexican.
to all these countries and then
That's
you
right.
just throw them under the bus.
That's exactly
That's
right.
the Refuge Project.
That's exactly right.
That's why they listen to
Shout
us.
out to Canada. You're our hat.
I'm telling you. That's why I say there's no way somebody's just sitting around in Singapore. Like, these
No,
guys.
but did you see what Trump told Trudeau? That was yesterday. Whenever he was like, "Hey, you can't put these tariffs on us or whatever," he said, "Look, if y'all survive by taking advantage of the USA, then why don't you become a part of the USA?"
Trump's
Could you-
a savage, man.
Could you imagine, dude? He's the deal maker, the business guy, and he buys Canada at some point. Well, that would be
He
pretty.
buys Canada and then just puts hotels all over it,
Oh,
right?
dude, I'm into it. Go for it.
Well-
I'd be way more stoked on Canada if
Well,
Canada was the USA.
real maple syrup. I'm for it.
Oh, dude, yeah.
We love you, Canada.
We'll just
We
do
really
we'll
do.
just do like Mexico. We'll just move the line, right? We'll just you're part of us now. We'll just move the line on them.
Well,
it.
Well, that's my time.
Jason's just listen, everything that y'all say doesn't necessarily.
does not reflect.
Hey, I'm sorry, something keeps popping, so I'm going to touch all your.
James is
I think I'm good.
James is on a tour right
In all
now.
the way.
Make America bearded again.
Oh.
It would be David.
Well, I think
good.
you're good now. You good?
I won't touch you no more.
I mean, you can touch it, but do what you gotta do.
Very good.
Okay, so you had something after I rudely interrupted you.
I was just talking about all of our shout outs to California.
Okay,
Yeah. Since you rudely interrupted me, not the other way around.
that's what I said.
Okay, yeah, very good. Because that's normally how it goes. Because I'm the nice one around here. Well, maybe James is.
James is.
I'm super nice.
Yeah. Until he goes on a rant.
Yeah, but I have a point.
Your
Usually.
point.
And it's usually a very good point.
Well, you usually ask how was everybody's week?
Yes, since we just came off Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this: Thanksgiving on the road,
Yeah.
right? That's a different perspective because I was thinking about my two kids didn't show up this year. Like they're married and they have to. We're sharing them. Like you didn't. You're somebody's kid, right? You didn't get to show
I
up.
am somebody's kid. Yes.
But why is Jason David on the road?
I think it's
Oh, is
him.
it yours?
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna mute you real quick.
Because our audience doesn't know why he's on the road.
Oh yeah. Probably need to talk about that, right?
Definitely is.
Microphone.
Dude, this is during his whole thing, we kept having cable problems, and now
Maybe-
it's like,
maybe-
It's probably the same cable. You got that one from.
no, this is a different
That's the stuff that we bought from Temu.
Do we have?
It's got to be good now, right?
Yo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, I'm someone's mom. I mean, I'm someone's kid. I'm someone's kid.
I have a mom.
I
Somebody's
have a
kid.
mom. No, yeah. Okay, so for those who don't know, yeah, we're on tour. Pretty much been on the road since January. But we did one loop. We left in January, did a loop of America. So in October, came back through San Diego, saw my parents, and what my mom did is she made a turkey. She decorated the house for Thanksgiving, and we had our Thanksgiving meal in October. And then 2 days later, she decorated for Christmas.
Wow.
And had little Christmas gifts, and we did our Christmas together. So she tried to put in all the holidays while I was in town. And
Mom
then-
of the Year. Somebody
Yeah,
give it up for Mom of the
yeah.
Year.
There we go.
Yeah.
Mom of the Year.
Yeah.
My
so-
wife would have been like, nah.
so I
Good
just-
to see you.
So I just watched football,
Yeah. Big football fan.
I love football.
So who's your team?
All right, I'm weird. So I don't do teams. My wife and I do players and coaches that we like.
Okay.
And
And
obviously,
how do you base that off of?
character, skill, stuff like we
Okay.
were really into Drew Brees, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we love the Saints. I love Coach McDaniels of the Dolphins because the positive atmosphere that he builds. We love Josh Allen on the Bills. We got a bunch of different teams.
So you got to look into our coach too, right?
Who are you? You're the Texan.
The Texans.
Houston.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. Did you guys see that hit on Trevor Lawrence? That your dude Aziz.
Which one was this?
This was on Sunday.
No, I didn't watch the game on Sunday.
He might be suspended for the rest of the year.
Is that where the QB slid?
Yeah. The quarterback was sliding, and then he's like hit him in the head, and Trevor Lawrence, like you saw his body, like his arm got all. Yeah, it was intense, dude. Anyway, what was the question?
Our coach is very much of a Christian. We got a Christian quarterback.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I do love your quarterback. Yeah, C.J. Stroud.
Stroud.
Yeah,
and I'm coming blank on our coach right now. So
I've never known. So
yeah,
he was one of our. He was
Don't
one
look
of
at
our
me for this
one of our linebackers. Now he's our coach.
But
Do I
no,
need to
we
Google
do
it for you?
when we see Houston Texans playing, we do cheer for them because we kind of feel like we're from Houston.
Yeah.
Crosby Church out here in the Houston area took us under their wing, and that's how we got connected with you.
Right.
And so yeah, Houston Texans is one of our. I think we have 16 teams that we're cheering for, but they're one of them for sure.
So, where did the passion for football come from?
Oh man, I think just as a child, watching it with my dad. I think it's just that childhood memory of like he would make popcorn and ice cream and bubble gum. And then my mom didn't know, and he wouldn't let me tell her.
wait, he made his own bubble gum?
No, well, I
That's
mean,
what I captured.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, they're from Canada. He was just like,
That's a Canadian thing.
no, I think you're close to.
I'm from California.
You're from
And it's
California,
not-
but like the mountains of California have the gum trees, though, don't they?
Oh, is that what that is? Yeah, cool.
Get out of here, dude. What are you that's where the lollipop forest is. What are you talking about, dude?
I think
That's
we grow other stuff in
where the
California.
candy. What are you talking
They grow gummy bears on trees. No, there's like
David's not even sure that California is a real place. It's like Fantasy Mountain, and that's where the gumdrop button.
no California is like Dallas. I like going there, but the people are just.
What does Elf say when he's doing his journey? And I walked through.
The candy cane forest.
This is
Into
where.
the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah. That's where he thinks you're
California
from.
is a nice place. I've been to California. I like it,
all right.
but there's a tree there that grows like
One tree.
You're not supposed to eat from it. Our governor did.
Oh man, I do have some random facts that I don't know where they come from, but
Yeah.
it's up there.
Hey,
I will say, as far as football, one of the biggest reasons why my wife and I watched it together is because when I was in the hospital and trying to get my mind off of things, football season had just started. And you got Sunday and then Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, all these games, and it creates this story that will last for months. So through all my surgeries, all my chemo, all my radiation, there's this storyline as you watch 32 teams try to become one final team. And so that really helped me keep my mind off of everything. And I think after that, my wife and I, football has just become a great escape because it reminds me of having that thing I could kind of turn. I'm literally hooked up to the chemo machine, but I'm watching the Chargers,
Right.
lose.
Good.
But
That's good.
got a good connotation.
I like so I watch YouTube. I don't watch too much TV besides football on Sundays. And that's the YouTube channels that I kind of fall into is the ones that tell a story that it's about their life. It's not just like some random prank video or whatever. It's the story continues because it's about their life or their kid's life or whatever, or their family and different things like that. Something to continue on. I dig that. And most of us like cars or something. The guys are building cars with their kids or something like that. So
my algorithm is a lot of old analog soundboards and random microphones.
what is your algorithm on
stuff.
YouTube right now?
it's a bunch of movie trailers and then NFL highlights.
Yeah. Pastor Caesar.
Minnie's Bow Tunes. I have
Yeah,
a
you-
2-year-old daughter.
You got,
But
you got Paw Patrol stuff.
My kids know not to get on my YouTube because if they mess my algorithm up, bro, it aggravates me.
Yeah.
Like now that all Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, actually, they listened to Christmas music on my YouTube.
Yeah.
And it messed my music part of it up. Now it's just, I do that.
It's all the like burning log with Christmas jazz.
And
And the next one is Kendrick.
Yeah. And then it's Kendrick's new album. And then,
Can I tell you that I absolutely hate Christmas music?
all of it?
Really?
No, I'm with you on a lot
Well,
of it.
from a
not
guy
all
that
of
has 13 Christmas trees in his house.
it. I know it's true. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, listen,
Well, some of them are gum trees.
I like Christmas music the week of Christmas. Maybe the week before Christmas.
Okay.
But starting the day after Thanksgiving?
Well, you know,
Can we get into December 1st?
Well, we're here now,
You're
man.
a Scrooge. That's what you are. Embrace it.
Every stop and go. Well, I'm showing my age right now.
Stop and go.
Every convenience store, every Home Depot.
Trying to make you feel good, man.
Bro, jingle bells.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
Dude.
Oh my goodness.
Hey!
I'm going to put the explicit
That's not
out
how
there
that
on this one. That was pretty good, dude. Yo, can I tell you this? We were at my parents' house last night for Ben and Haley's birthday thing. That's my little brother and his wife. They have birthdays like 5 days apart, so now they're celebrating together forever. Which Ben can't think of that one.
Hey, that saves you a spot, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to go twice.
No, I'm cool with it. It was
Yeah.
just funny hearing him say that a bunch. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so my aunt's there last night, and for some reason she's talking about like my aunt Stephanie. She's talking about like embarrassing things that happened to her or something. And I totally forgot that this happened at some point, but I'm so happy that she reminded me. Like a year or two ago, she was supposed to sing a special during the service at church here. And she tells me she gives me the CD, it's track number, whatever. She goes up there, I hit it. And it goes for a little bit. She goes, "Hey, is that track number 3 or whatever?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, that's the one." She goes, "Okay, start it over." Right? And I go, "Okay." And so I hit it, and she sings the song. And then she gets off stage, and she goes, "Yeah, that wasn't the song I was trying to sing. I don't know what happened to it." And I said, "What do you mean? Like, you sang the song?" She goes, "Yeah, I just like, she just freestyled the song. She sang the lyrics to the song she was trying to sing to different track.
No way!
And just like did
Dude,
it.
that's talent right there.
But
That's
I mean,
impressive.
it was like kind of rough, but like she did it. And she told me afterwards, and I forgot this happened. And she's telling me like, "Yeah, I just sang the song anyway." And I said, "That doesn't."
Stephanie?
Yeah. I
she's
said, "That makes
involved.
no sense. You can't just. That's a song, and this is a song. I bet you these words are like." That's not the way that works at all.
That is awesome.
But she did it, and I forgot. And she goes, "Yeah, that's like the most embarrassing moment of my life."
I
was
got
singing
a
the wrong way.
quick clip real quick. So since you're combining Jingle Bells and Hades, here.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that the other day, actually. That's a guy like at a church in the middle of like a very charismatic service, and he's singing that.
They're black people. You can say that.
Okay.
You can say that.
Well,
and it's a shout service.
That wasn't the important part.
California, brother. It's not California. You can still say that.
The important part was that they were like charismatic, having a good time. White people do that too.
What about the preachers? That preacher was you that showed me that clip that says, "My ends need this."
No, that wasn't me. That was some other ratchet friend you
see
have.
it? You seen it though, right?
I seen it because that same ratchet friend sent it to me.
We have the same ratchet friends.
That's it.
Oh
man, so good.
Yeah, very, very good.
Hey, for the record, I don't have a culture corner today.
Oh, I was just
I know.
about
I
to
felt
go
you
into
doing it.
I was just.
I looked and I couldn't find any interesting stories.
You couldn't find a story about a bird the week after Thanksgiving.
Well, I found one. It was that President Biden pardons 2 turkeys before Thanksgiving, and I didn't even click on it.
Was his son one of them?
Nope, that was this article came out about a week ago.
Well, they always do one turkey. The other turkey was his son.
Yeah, well, this one had 2 turkeys on the photo, and
I guess that's tradition, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad has the whole history on that.
I don't know.
Well, son, this is why they pardon turkeys.
He probably does.
Listen, he's taking a lot of heat for this.
Who?
Biden.
Oh,
For pardoning 2 turkeys?
That's right.
Yeah. For pardoning his son. But listen.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he just did. Like,
He just pardoned
yesterday.
himself.
yesterday. I think.
Oh.
He didn't get a fair trial.
From 2014 though.
Yeah.
Since 2014.
Yeah, from I think it was 11 years. It
Yeah.
was-
Wait, so did he just do what everyone's saying Trump is going to do?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Oh, so they're all hypocrites.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The reason it's like a problem, quote unquote, is because for his whole presidency,
I'm not gonna
He
do
was
it.
like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna pardon him for sure.
Well, because-
And then he's like, I'm definitely. But
Because he
everybody
thought-
would have pardoned him.
But he thought like his connections in the whole political parties and stuff that they would find him not guilty.
Sure, but
it-
also, what
it-
else is he gonna say?
But it wasn't going that way. He was going to be charged with it, and it wasn't going to be good.
Yeah.
And like, who wouldn't?
yeah.
Who has the power to stop your kid from going to jail for 15 to life?
Yeah.
And you're just like, go ahead.
Everybody would have done it.
I guess Jesus did that for us.
Yeah, there we
Right.
go. That's right. This is
There you go. I'm glad you're here. Always bring it back to Jesus.
that's right.
I mean, I probably wouldn't even be able to sleep with my eyes closed if I didn't do that for my kid because of my wife. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to let your kid do that?
Right.
Go through those things?
Do you see some of the Fox takes on it? They're
Oh,
like,
man.
they're like,
I can
they're
only
like,
imagine.
I always grew up. My dad said, if you get arrested, don't call me. I'm not like those kind of things.
My dad told me that too, and he bailed me out every time.
you know.
Oh, man. But only because my mama told him. Well, since we don't have a culture corner, let's go ahead and play this song. You want to introduce this song?
You're gonna want to plug yourself in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a song from one of my older albums called Only You, and it's a worship song that I wrote. This is the studio version of it, and I hope you enjoy it.
Nice.
No.
And that was it. I hope you really liked it.
Silent trip.
Cred.
Oh,
Which one was
David.
it again?
David. Oh,
It went away.
Yeah.
That was so anticlimactic.
you know I'm not gonna edit this.
I was
thing.
going to ask, do you guys edit this?
No,
or-
not at all.
It's good.
Rogan style.
We're doing it. Yeah, that's right. We are just
yeah.
like the Joe Rogan experience.
Except we have no Rogan over here.
Yeah, I am not, which is his
You're
tech
not
guy.
Jamie?
I am not Jamie.
I think I would have to be Jamie in this situation, and I am relying on you to play the song. So I guess
And here we go.
here we go. And will it come through? I got no signal. Is it playing over there?
Wait, are you logged in? Wait, are you logged in?
No, it was playing with a while ago. I don't have to be logged in.
I clicked play and it said, "Would you like to subscribe to Spotify?"
What was the name of the
Gummit,
song?
you don't have.
What was the name?
Go down a little bit. It's that one.
Only you.
It's track 3.
I'm about to have to pull it up myself.
No, my goodness.
Oh, what happened? It was working a while ago.
This is like that scene in Zoolander where you got Ben Stiller.
Wow.
Is it on
dude.
YouTube?
I can just sing it right now.
Which one?
In
is it? I'll
the
pull it
computer.
Only you.
In the...
up. Only you.
Untitled. I'm. Okay, listen. Legit. We're normally off hinge.
Yeah.
But this is like. This is a whole nother level.
So if you're listening, pause the podcast, type "I am entitled" into Spotify.
Play it, come back.
It's called "Only You," and then please come back. Let us know how it went because we didn't hear it yet.
Where were you when you wrote this song?
San Diego with the
Okay.
gum trees and all that.
Was you still recovering, or this is a song
Yeah, this
after
is
that?
actually So this is after I lost my tongue to cancer. So I was told I'd never sing again, and you'll hear the lisp. Like I have a lisp because of cancer, but so this is me singing after they told me I would never sing again.
Perfect.
How long ago was this?
2017, I think.
Okay.
2017. Okay. Here we go.
I got
Got
it.
it.
This is
Appreciate
only you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Jesus, Jesus, you are my reward. All I'm living for
And it's Jason David, Only You.
And technically, the artist's name is I Am Untitled.
I Am Untitled.
Otherwise,
Very good.
no one will.
Who was the who was the feature there?
So that was just our worship team. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Very
the drums were not programmed through
Oh,
MIDI
sorry.
or
I mean, well, okay. The production was me and my producer friend Mark Sahonen.
okay.
But vocally, it was me and then whoever we had on our worship team at the time.
Wow.
So we've all been part of music in some point. Them more than me. But
Well, you like ran a record label. I mean, kind of.
I mean, but y'all, as far as like melodically, instruments, those things, y'all more than me.
Sure.
I was on the other side of it, but we always like talk about the song at the end. I love the big sound, right? And I think the production's done really, really well. So when you talk about your producer, how involved was he into the sound of that?
Yeah,
track?
so he's been my producer for pretty much the entire time. So what'll happen is I'll write a song, I'll come in with a bunch like tracks or like a bunch of MIDI files or little samples I've made, and then he'll put it all in and clean it up, and then he'll add some like extra drums or synth or just extra stuff around it. So it really pretty much becomes Mark and I are doing all the music production, and I love working with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of big bass.
Yes.
Is that something that comes from? I know you do a little bit of hip hop. Is that kind of like
Yeah,
an
well,
overflow from some of that?
So when this came out, at the time, I was the youth pastor.
Okay.
And I wanted to create music for our youth ministry.
Okay, makes sense.
That they could kind of take ownership of. It could be their own anthem. And so that's why you have a little more of an EDM, younger sound. You have the little wow, 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 wow. Sounds like a cat dying. But it was back then because as a youth pastor, we were kind of making music for them. Now, if you listen to my music, it's very all ages, especially the new album, Blank Canvas. But like, it's a very much an all ages. So there's music in there with just me on a piano, and then there's music with the big production that might skew younger. But what's cool is then when we bring it to the stage, we do it live, like we were here on Sunday and we did it. You have a little something for every age. So there's going to be some hip hop and rap, and then there's going to be just worship and slow ballad piano song. There's going to be something for everyone, and our goal is we want to see an altar packed with all ages. So we want to see little kids at the altar. We want to see grandparents at the altar. We want to see all ages, hopefully impacted by the music.
I tell you, on my row, I had my mom, which is 72-ish. No, she's like 35, really. Give my mom's age away. All the way down to my grandbaby. And the whole time, we're like
Locked
focusing.
that's cool.
And normally, when we have our quarter Sundays, which we call our quarter Sundays, we bring everybody from the church.
Like the
comes
kids,
in,
sure.
and it's like miserable, right? Because they're just like you can't give them enough colors and enough snacks and all that, because I mean the service is not for them, right? And man, they were locked in the whole time.
That's cool.
Just enough fire. Just spread out just far enough to keep them locked in, and the smoke and all the things. So,
so the stage effects, for those who might not know what we're referring to, is we have spark machines and fog machines and different stuff, but we do try to pace it out to where as soon as, because the next generation is a TikTok generation. Every 3 seconds they need dopamine or whatever. So we try to blow things up every now and then to just make sure they're still with us, because if they'll stick with us to the end, to the altar call, they're going to get, the message. They're going to get the gospel presented to them. And so we do have it's very intentional when we're doing effects and how often, even when the songs, you'll notice that I did 5 songs, but they were spread out throughout the sermon. There's preaching, and then there's a song, and then there's preaching and a song. Just hopefully build it kind of like a movie. If you watch a 90-minute movie or a musical, it's going to have the conflict and the release and the highs, and there's comic relief, and then there's drama, and going to try to hopefully build a story that keeps your attention the entire time and hopefully leads to a moment of heart transformation.
I'm very intentional, just what you said when I write a message.
Yeah.
I try to be funny, but you know that when you get in within the scripture, the energy comes down, and then people are just, they're listening to what you say, but then you have to draw them back in.
Yes, you do.
know, and so I'm very intentional when I do that. Do a pretty good job most of the time, but I've been on that side when you just see me like, Texas are coming on in 30 minutes, and you're still talking about this is your intro. So
that's me. That's me. So for for the sake of the conversation, because that was fantastic what you did on Sunday. That's a really, really good tour that you have on right now. But for the, I guess just the skeptics and the people that are always bitter. Why does the church need this now? Why is it such a passion for you to?
Yeah, it's a great question. I love answering this question because let me give some context because I know it's a podcast, so people can't see what we're talking about.
And that's the most smoke we've ever had in our church in one event, besides maybe one of my events. Yeah.
All right, so basically the tour is called the Blank Canvas Tour. And it's a mix of stand-up comedy and theatrics and preaching and music and visual effects. It's a full-blown production. And so there's a fair question of why would you do that on a Sunday morning? Why would you do that in church? And the more traditional answer would be like, we don't need that, right? We don't need... Jesus didn't use pyrotechnics. Like, we don't need pyrotechnics. My answer to that is, one... I'm not sure when it happened, but we put creativity in a box, and we told people that only certain creative things worship God, and anything outside that box is not considered worship. And what happened is we lost our best painters, our best filmmakers, our best singers. You look at like Usher, and you look at like some of the best singers all started in the church. Mm-hmm. Mariah Carey, like all of them, they started in the church, but there came a point where it said, hey, you're too show-offy, your talent is not welcome here. And so they left, and they went to where the talent was welcome. So we literally had the best talent in the church, and we said, no, God, you can't worship God that way. And so they left, and we told people, don't be flashy and all that. But then, like, you read the Old Testament, like, the temple, it was pure gold. How is that not flashy? Like, what's wrong with building the best for God? What's wrong with having a great stage and a great production that is not there to get the attention? I was at one church where I asked the pastor, hey, do you mind if we turn the lights off in the auditorium, like over the lights that are over the people, right? So that there's only lights on the stage. He was like, oh, my worship team's been asking me to do that for years, but it's not a concert. We're not here to have a concert. And I'm like, dude, and I was very respectful, but in my mind I'm thinking, you've lost the plot. The reason we turn the lights off is because people get distracted. And when the lights are off, guess what? They're going to look straight at where the lights are on. We're not turning this into a concert. We're trying to help a generation that is more and more distracted than they've ever been. Like, sure, 50 years ago, there was less distractions because you didn't have a cell phone. Like, you didn't have all that technology. Now, you're on stage competing with the fact that someone has a mega computer in their pocket, and as soon as you're not interested, they're pulling it out to check Facebook, to check whatever. So, no, we shouldn't have to use these things, but the fact of the matter is we do need them. Like, we need to keep people's attention. And so my thing is, I'm going to bring every type of creativity I can and bring it back into the church. So I want my show to have elements of filmmaking. I want visual effects. I want pyrotechnics. I want every aspect of creativity because I believe God gives these gifts, and therefore I want to give those gifts back to Him. And I want other people in the church to know if anything you just saw on stage, whether it's stand-up comedy or it's visual effects or music or whatever, if that got you excited, and you realize, oh, that's one of my passions, I want you to know you can use it for God. And So I think it's really important, but also it's just practical of like, this is a TikTok generation. Every 3 seconds, they need to be stimulated. And so why did we take the most exciting thing that ever happened to humanity? Jesus, like God came to earth. God came to earth. That's crazy exciting. And we said the best way to tell a story is with a 60-minute lecture that we read off a paper. That's the best way to tell the story. Who decided that? Let's put hardwood pews that hurt your butt. Let's suffer for Jesus.
The most uncomfortable seats.
Let's make this, let's just make this so boring. Because that's what God deserves. This is the most exciting thing that ever happened to humanity. God came to earth and saved us. It deserves confetti. It deserves fireworks. So I'm bringing that back to church.
Yeah.
I like the whole bring the lights down because it's just say I'm a new Christian, and if the lights are on, I feel like everybody can see what I'm doing, right?
Yes.
But if the lights are down, you're more likely maybe to raise your hands a little bit because you feel like you're in this like personal space, and
just you and God.
Not everybody's looking at me, and I can explore some things that maybe I wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you tell us maybe some stories that you have where maybe you did experience some pushback from the older generation that is not the TikTok generation?
Right.
And I can tell you, after the first service, I go to him, I said, hey man, like the smoke is not quite getting there. He says, we can use more?
Yeah, I was shocked. I've never had a pastor ask me to add more smoke. I went and told Allison. She was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes, no, I promise." He told me.
He said more smoke.
He said more smoke. Yeah. No, it really only happened because it only really has happened one time because I think the churches that wouldn't like it don't invite me anyway. But it only happened one time where the pastor was so nervous and he was like, I don't really want smoke and I don't want all this stuff. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, why'd you invite me? Like, you know what I do. And but what happened was his deacons got nervous. They saw some clips of me. And so they went to him and they said, hey, why'd you invite a magician? And I'm like, what? So he's like, I didn't realize you were a magician. I was like, I'm not a magician. And I did kind of say like,
he tells his wife, put the bunnies up,
but I did tell him, I was like, honestly, your deacons didn't do any research. It's very easy to look me up and see what I do. They didn't do it, and now we're having this conversation. But I do not do magic. So I had to go through and tell him every single aspect of the show. I could only use smoke if it was part of storytelling. Which is mostly what I use it for anyway, right? I remember one time we did a thing where I was, when Elijah is in the cave and then there's an earthquake and then there's a fire but God wasn't in the fire. And so we would do stuff where we would make it feel like the building is shaking and the screens would shake and you'd hear rumbling and smoke would come out and then fire would go off and like all these things would happen and it helped people feel what it would feel like to be Elijah in that moment. Like, I love using these elements to help tell the story, like make people feel what it would feel like to be there. So anyway, I had to go through and get everything approved, and there were a couple elements that he's like, well, if you don't mind, don't do that. And I didn't. I was respectful, and then that morning, it was so powerful, and there was people who came, and what was cool is I was with him at lunch the day before, and our waitress, he invited her to come, and she's like, well, I can't because, my husband and I have separated, and he has the kid, and all these things. He ends up coming. The whole family comes. I end up not even realizing it. The daughter ends up being one of my volunteers on stage, because I always bring kids up as part of the interaction. I get them on stage. He comes down to the altar. He gets saved. The family gets restored. And you have this beautiful story of redemption and a marriage being saved and salvation happening from a magician. So there you go.
But so people know, where can they see a piece of your show or where?
Yeah. So probably the easiest is go to either my YouTube or my Facebook, and that would be youtube.com/Jason David Music. Or honestly, if you go to YouTube and type Jason David Cancer, I'm pretty sure I will come up, which is sad that's my identity now. But yeah, type Jason David Cantor and you'll probably find me.
Not the MMA Jason David.
No, don't type. Do not type Jason David Power Ranger. That's the wrong Jason David. But yeah, or Facebook.com/Jason David Music. But you'll see clips from the tour. You'll see some of the music videos, and you kind of get a feel for what we're doing.
Now, we have, and I'm sure a lot of other churches you go to, very different services.
Yes.
How does that affect the way you move? I know for me to preach, two different messages, same message,
two different styles.
Yes. Not because I wanted to be, but just reading the room and different things like that. How do you navigate that on a show that has lots of energy?
Yes. Oh, so like for example, this past Sunday.
And then after this, we'll kind of get into your story. I know we're kind of on the back side of the story. Then we'll kind of we'll get there.
So like for this past Sunday, right? The first service is more traditional, older. There's no kids in the audience. It's an older audience, and one of my songs does have rap. So I was a little like, okay, how am I going to do this? So what I did is I don't know if you noticed, but in my style, I kind of did more. Almost spoken word poetry. I was very enunciating my words. I was not putting any swagger on how I said it. I didn't make it sound rappy, right? It was just more storytelling that rhymed, and I was more gentle in my energy and really trying to do that. But then in the next service, where it's younger and you've got a bunch of different ethnicities, then I rapped like I normally would rap with the swagger and the quick rap and like all that kind of stuff. So, and that's just one example but even in some of our special effects, we toned down. We didn't use all of our pyro, or like, I kind of want to give a heart attack to the older generation.
Blow wigs off.
Yeah, but so no, there's ways. But what was amazing though is because the message is a message of what God did in my life. So most 99% or 95% of the show doesn't change because it's just my testimony. And I was really excited to see, in the audience, saw people laughing and then people crying and then people coming forward. And I just felt like it went really well, even though it was a much older demographic. And you would think, I don't know, some of my stuff might not, always translate there, but thankfully, because we have something for all ages, it did resonate, and by the time you get to the altar call, as long as they feel the presence of God, that's what it's all about, build up to that moment.
Yep. All right, so let's back up.
Yes.
Who is Jason David?
He's a Green Power Ranger.
It's a Green Power Ranger that does magic on the side.
He's a magician. Yeah, okay, so my name is Jason David. I'm from San Diego, California. My dad's a pastor. He planted the church when I was 18 months old. I was actually born in Flagstaff, Arizona. I don't know if that's important, but...
that's... Gives you a little bit more credit.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. I wasn't born in California, but my mom was. We moved to San Diego, plant a church. I grew up as a pastor's kid.
So was the move to California to plant a church?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the church we were at they said, San Diego needs Jesus, and they sent us there. And so, it was a little like, we started in the apartment. Like, we had nothing. There was, the church, right after we left, that church had a split in Arizona. And they literally called my dad and like, hey, do you want to come back? We can't finance you. We can't help. Oh, wow. And my dad was like, no, like God called us here. He'll provide. So we had nothing. I'm 18 months old. We're in a little apartment. We start the church. I think I joined the worship team when I was 3.
Wow.
Because my dad bought me a toy guitar, and I thought it was a real guitar. So there's pictures of me sitting next to him on the kitchen table playing. And with my belly hanging out, and I thought I was playing a real guitar, but it turned out later it was a lie.
That's how I was playing this morning with my belly.
You had a belly already at 3.
Yeah, I definitely did.
He peaked it too.
So yeah, I grew up as a pastor's kid. My mom was the theatrical one. Like she had done like the Disney tryouts where she actually made it all the way through. But then, then you had to be a certain height to fit the costume, so she didn't make it only because of height. But she was a dancer, very theatrical person, did theater, all that kind of stuff. So I got my love for that from her. And what she instilled in me was a level of excellence. She always called it Disney style, and this is when Disney used to have a good reputation. But Disney style, where everything you do is with excellence because you're doing it unto God. You do it with excellence, and she taught me storytelling and theater. And my dad was the preacher, so I kind of and he did the comedy, the humor and stuff. So I don't know. I think what I do now is literally a merge of both what my mom and my dad, their passions are. For
sure.
So I'm growing up. We're doing the church. It's a small church, right? So I'm the youth pastor, the worship leader, the graphic designer, the website guy, like all that stuff.
So
right?
it's always been a small church?
Yeah, mom and pop church. 'Cause
Yeah.
we had no. And nowadays, when churches get planted, they're given like $150,000 to start.
Yeah.
And they've got people
And
paying.
100 people.
And yeah, literally we started with the four of us.
Yeah.
My brother, myself, my mom, my dad.
Wow.
Had nothing. I remember our fridge would be empty, and then someone would knock on the door, and they'd be like, "Hey, we were at Vaughn's, and they gave us this extra bag. We don't know where it came from, but we got peanut butter, we got milk, we got bread, and literally it was exactly what we needed." So, yeah, grew up with nothing, and then. So the church never really became massive, but it was a good size. It was larger than whatever the typical average church is. We got to like 120, which is
It's
you
a
know
good church.
not bad. And there's
I think
nothing
that-
wrong with small churches.
I think, man, that's like the ideal
Yeah.
church, right? Because you can really minister to 120.
Yes. Well, even churches who have 20 or 30 or 40 people, like when they were doing house church in the Book of Acts, I mean, you can't fit that many people in a house. So
Especially those houses.
Yeah. So it's honestly there's nothing wrong with small churches. Like that is a huge thing, and there's a lot of ministry that can be done. But being I guess I'm a type A personality where if you see an empty room, you want to fill it. Mm-hmm. It was always like. I always felt called to do more, make it bigger, Eventually, I was putting on youth conferences just to help scratch that itch because with youth conferences, you can blow up stuff. You can have bands. You can have music. You can do all these things. You can have skits. You can do theatrical stuff. Started doing these youth conferences. We got up to about 1,000 kids who are coming from all these churches in San Diego. And people would ask, like, man, what church put this on? And they were always shocked because at the time our church was like 50 people. And we were all volunteers. And we had no money. And God provided. But, like, we would put these huge conferences on. That ends up getting the attention of this large church in Bonita, and then they end up reaching out. And by around this time,
And Bonita's still in California.
Yeah. Sorry, it is. I'm sorry about that. San Diego, and my wife and I are married, and my dad understands like, hey, I can't pay you because the entire time I was working for free, and pretty much like I can't pay you, and you have a family, you need to go be able to get a real job. And so when this larger church reached out and they knew about the youth conferences, they wanted me to be their youth pastor, and they could actually, pay me. And
How long y'all been married at this time?
This is less than 2 years because I got diagnosed within the first 2 years of our marriage, which was crazy. Literally, I get the job, and the timing of God is amazing because I get the job, which means now I have health insurance. Now I have a steady income. As soon as we moved down to that job, within 2 weeks, I get diagnosed with stage 4 tongue cancer.
Wow. Your insurance company was like,
You got us. And at first, though, it almost felt like, did I do something wrong? Like, was I not supposed to make this move? Is God, you know what I mean? Like, was I supposed to just make no money and be a monk and stay with my parents? Like, did I do something wrong?
Can I ask you one random question?
Yeah.
It's just like pumping through my head.
Yeah.
Do you know Ruslan from The Breaks, the podcaster?
I don't. Sorry.
Okay, all right, sorry. Y'all are kind of in the same area, and he was.
Okay.
He was a
the
hip hop
same time.
artist about around that same time and all that.
Yeah,
Called The Breaks.
Oh, okay.
And now he's one of the larger Christian podcasters.
Oh, wait,
out
was
there.
it The Breaks with like an X? Like they spelled it BR?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was it a 3-person, kind of like a hip hop group?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I do know who you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually, when we would tour, when I was in like high school and college, I would tour and with my band, and we went to some of the same churches. I see their poster right next to our poster. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
Both from San Diego. Yeah.
Right, now that we're on this bunny trail real quick, and it's relevant to your story, because you said you got married. Where'd you meet your wife? Because it's hard to meet a wife in a small church. So did you?
Yes, yeah. So because I needed money, I went back to the school I had gone to from K through 6. It was a Christian school, and I would do chapels for them, and then I would teach summer school, be the Bible teacher. And she was fun. So she went to UCSD, got her master's. She's like brilliant and smart and all that. But this is 2008. There's like a hiring freeze with schools and teachers. The economy is in the toilet. So she ends up getting to the school. The only one that would hire her is a small little private Christian school, the same one I went to from K through 6. She ends up being the science teacher. I'm the Bible teacher, and Bible and science came together.
There we go.
But she literally was told, people told her, like, why are you taking that job? You will never find your husband in that classroom.
Wow.
And I walked into that classroom.
I mean, you could. They are now.
Yeah.
So, what is your opinion of going through schooling in a private Christian other than getting into more of a public school and,
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, if you can afford it, I recommend it only because our public schools are, it's pretty bad. Yeah, and private schools, the kids are just as bad. But at least there's more support, and the teachers tend to care more, and you're gonna have smaller classroom sizes, and you're gonna get more attention, and usually a better education. I'm a huge fan of states who are saying, like, you can take your tax dollars and put it towards having free private education. I'm a huge fan of that. I think it makes sense that every state should do that. Because public school, I mean, look at the next generation who's coming out of college and coming out of high school. They don't know what a work ethic is. They haven't had to work in school. And so now when they get a job 9 to 5, they're like, what is, they don't know what a work ethic is. They don't know what character is. They don't know these things. And it's not their fault. Public school is letting down an entire generation. Yeah. So, and my wife was a public school teacher too. So I have nothing against the teachers. They are not being empowered to do their job correctly. It's not the teachers. And the teachers, most of them do not want to be caught up in the culture war. So it's not against the teachers. It's the system. It's, government being too involved.
For sure. My wife's been in education for 20 plus years. So
yeah.
That's why I wanted to ask. Okay, so you got this new job.
Yeah, so I get this new job and I immediately get diagnosed, and there's part of me that's wondering, like, did I do something wrong? Looking back at it now, I see the grace of God of because I had just gotten that job, I had health insurance. So now I see, like, it's almost like God delayed me getting the diagnosis until I had the job, But in the moment, you're wondering, like, what did I do wrong? Yeah. I get diagnosed, stage 4 tongue cancer. They removed 20% of my tongue, open up half of my neck, take out half the lymph nodes, all that stuff, right? A few months later, I'm back. I got a little bit of a lisp, but I'm back, and I think I'm fine, and the cancer comes back. More aggressive. They said, if we don't operate, you will die. So I go back into surgeries, and now I'm really scared because I know what to expect. But it was much worse. They removed another 60% of my tongue. They opened up my entire neck. I won't go into all the gross details, but it was torture. It was 15 surgeries. It was insane, and then there was chemotherapy and radiation. There was months and months and months of just pain and crying and wanting to die, wanting to kill myself. I will go into this real quick. The darkest night of my entire life, darkest moment, when I first woke up from the 15-hour surgery, the main one where they took a chunk of my arm and they put it in they made a new tongue. I wake up and then 3 days go by where I cannot sleep. So much pain. There's all the beeping. I'm in the ICU. I cannot sleep. Too much anxiety. Too much fear. And I'm in so much pain, so they put me on pain medicine. But the problem with pain medicine is it blocks you up from using the restroom, right? So they give me this other medicine that helps your body to function. But the problem is one nurse ended her shift by giving me that poop medicine, and the next nurse began her shift by giving me that same medicine.
Oh, good Lord.
So I remember, like, the most humiliating moment of my entire life. I'm sitting on the bathroom floor of the hospital, literally sitting in my own waste, covered in my own blood, mucus, vomit, tears, screaming, crying. I can't make a sound, though, because I can't move my tongue. I can't talk. and I'm just shaking and so much fear. And then they clean me up to put me back on the hospital bed. And all my brain could remember is the doctor told me that it only gets worse for the next 5 days. And I'm thinking I can't even do 5 more minutes, because what was happening was I couldn't breathe through my mouth because my tongue was so swollen because of the it was trying to adapt to having a new tongue. So I can't breathe through my mouth. I can't breathe through my nose because of the feeding tubes. My nose got irritated and clogged up with blood. And they had a tube in my neck. But when you put tubes in your body, sometimes your body forms mucus to, So anyway, it gets clogged up. So I can't breathe through my neck, my mouth, or my nose. And that's when I discovered one of life's many lessons. You cannot breathe through your butthole. I'm just trying to keep it light because I know we're talking about cancer and all this.
That's a good lesson to learn.
It is a good lesson. And honestly, I mean, did you know God made turtles that breathe through their bottom? This is a real thing.
I did not know that. But
Yeah,
I'm glad
you can
this
Google
is
it.
a good fun
You
fact
didn't
for me to
that?
know.
This
Yeah.
guy, he's got all the animals.
You can Google it or don't Google it. I don't know what pictures will show up, but seriously, this is why like if a lake freezes over, turtles don't die because they can breathe through their.
So do turtles breathe underwater?
Yeah, some of
their
them do. The ones who have the butt thing, yeah.
Wait, so does
So
it
anytime
does it function like gills? Because I thought they breathe
I've
because they
never
breathe
looked.
like above the water too, right?
Yes.
They go up, they catch their breath, they hold their breath, they go
But you
down.
had to have terrible breath.
Don't. Oh, back.
All I know is anytime I'm at a pond, I see a turtle. I get real jealous. And when I go to heaven, and God's like, I'm gonna make a new heaven, new earth. I'm like, hey, I have a suggestion. Can you give us the turtle thing? It would have been handy.
New buttholes for everyone.
Yeah.
You get one. And you get one. And you get one.
Everyone look
have to
under
look
your
that
chair.
The first time that God rearranged the human body, right? I was just like, oh, Jason finally got there.
Yeah. It would have been so helpful.
Evolution, baby.
So there I am. I'm sitting there. I can't breathe through any of my holes, and I'm in so much pain, and I wanted to die. I wanted to die. So I grabbed my phone. I typed "easy ways to die" because I'm not trying to hurt myself. I just want to end myself. I don't want to fight anymore. They already told me, even if I survive, I'm never going to sing again. I'm never going to speak again. So I'm just kind of. And I haven't slept 3 days, so I'm not mentally fully there.
Can I ask you, most of these major surgeries like this,
Yeah.
they keep the patient sedated for a period of sedated.
Oh yeah. So I was knocked out.
So you would think they would have done just that.
We're good. Keep going.
You would think they would have done that for a couple days until you've.
Oh no, yes, it was only during the actual surgery. So
Yeah.
I think 15 hours I was out. So then you can imagine when you wake up and your tongue is swollen, you've got tubes everywhere that you didn't have when you went to sleep, and the ICU, everything. The anxiety is insane.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So I wanted to die. I wanted to give up, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to kill myself without hurting myself. And that's when my wife walked in, and she's my wife, so she took one look at me, and she just knew, oh my gosh, my husband's
Yeah, this is a
giving up.
bad situation.
Yeah. And she doesn't know what to do. And she doesn't know what to say. So she walks over to me. She grabs my hand. She looks at me. And I'll be forever grateful for what she did next. Because you know what she said to me?
What'd she say?
Nothing. Yes. And I'm so grateful because there's nothing she could have said. I think in that moment, a lot of Christians force something. Like they're going to give a scripture or they're going to be like, you shouldn't feel this way. And it's like, no, I really should. You don't know what it's like. What I appreciate is she looked at me, she didn't say anything, she just began to cry. And that's what Jesus did, right? Jesus has got his friend Lazarus who's dying, and Lazarus' sisters write to Jesus, and they're like, hey, come quickly. The friend you love is dying. And what does Jesus do? He shows up late, and I don't even know what his excuse was. My donkey had too much gas, or not enough gas, or whatever. But he gets there, and the sisters are mad. Jesus, where were
His
you?
donkey was out of gas.
And one of the sisters says to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. what she's really saying is, Jesus, this is on you. This is your fault. Like, you could have stopped this. Why didn't you? You said you were his friend, but you're not being a good friend. You said you were his God. You're not being a good God. And if there's anyone who could have said the right thing at the right moment, it was Jesus. And what does he say? Nothing. Jesus wept. And he was showing us how to walk people through pain. Is sometimes you simply show up, you feel what they're feeling. You don't need to tell them that they should feel any different. You don't need to quote scripture at them. He just takes a moment and he weeps with her. Some scholars will say he's weeping because, just like he'll cry over Jerusalem, maybe he was sad because they didn't realize who he was. And there could be an element, but I think Jesus is always doing 500 things at the same time. Yeah. And I think he was also showing us what empathy looks like. And then, after he's mourned with her, he then says, show me where you buried him. And I love that because I think sometimes, and I talked about this on Sunday, we bury things. Childhood memories, painful things, we bury them. And Jesus is saying, hey, show me the body. Show me what you buried. Take me to that memory where your parents got a divorce. Take me to that memory where your uncle abused you. Like, take me there so I can resurrect something, so I can heal you. So I appreciate that my wife, she kind of was Jesus in the moment. She didn't say anything. She just wept. She cried. And after some crying, she decided to sing. Now, my wife is not a singer, and she'll tell you that. I'm not trying to be rude or mean. I didn't want to marry a singer because I'm too competitive. But she didn't know what else to do. And
Did you check that on the first date? Like, let me hear an F.
Yeah. Okay, I can marry you.
That was horrible.
Yeah, that was horrible.
You want to go out tomorrow?
I'm in love. And so she begins to sing, and she didn't know what to sing. But she knew that the most powerful thing you can do in that moment is to worship. Right? You look at Jericho. The walls fell down after the shout of victory, the shout of praise, the worship. So even when the walls are still standing, you worship. And so she begins to sing. She doesn't know what to sing, so she sings my favorite hymn, right? Come thou fount of every blessing. But then she forgets the words. And so she just makes up her own words. And I remember it vividly. For like 3 hours, she took the melody of Come Thou Fount, and she just started singing, you are good, God. You are good, God. You are good, God. You are good. And she's repeating that over and over and over. And the more she sang, the more I just began to feel like the peace and presence of God fill that room. And my eyes got heavy, and my heart rate was like, and I drifted off to sleep. And I remember I hadn't slept in 3 days.
Yeah.
I drifted off to sleep in the peace and presence of God, and woke up the next day in my right mind, determined to keep living, to keep fighting, to not give up. And not to say it was going to be any easier, because then it was months of recovery. But my wife helped me to not give up, and I'll forever be grateful.
Yeah. Awesome.
I keep, every time you come, when you begin to sing that song and tell that story, me and my wife just sit there and weep, you know, because we've been through some things in our marriage, and if it wasn't for that melody, you know, not that exact one, but that good God melody that running through our heads and through our situation, that we wouldn't be standing, you know, as a couple today. So
And on the new album, you have a song "Don't Give Up," right? That highlights that whole interaction there. And
I even got my wife to sing on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she actually sings on the album. Now, we had to use auto-tune. but we first recorded the version where we were retelling that story. And originally I was singing that part. And it just, everyone, I showed it to my mom, I showed it to my producers, and everyone was like, why isn't she singing it? And she was like, well, I can't sing. And they're like, come on, with technology, we can make it work.
T-Pain's made a whole career of this.
Yeah.
He can actually sing, though.
Oh, yeah, he can sing.
And so she sang on it, and it's powerful. But yeah, the new album kind of tells the story, but it's from a fresh perspective, because now I'm actually healed fully, emotionally. So I think people saw me by 2017, I went viral, and I'm singing. So they think, oh, he's healed. I was not healed. Like, emotionally, I was devastated. For the next 2 years, I battled with PTSD, nightmares.
So what was it? Was it the loss of a tongue? Was it the loss of a ministry? Was it a loss of identity?
It was a loss of who I was and where I was headed. It was a story I didn't want to live. I don't want to be the cancer guy. Because I knew that would become, anytime someone goes through a major tragedy, they become that person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the cancer person. That's the wheelchair person. That's this person. I did not want that to be my identity. It was also, I mean, when I was trying to get my voice back, I did so much speech therapy, and they said, hey, listen to your old rap albums. Because I've been rapping, like, I don't know, since I was 10 or 11. So they said, put in your old albums. So I took one of my albums where I was rapping when I was 17. And I broke down crying because I could not keep up with my old self. And I'm only 28, but to feel like an old man at 28 and to feel like my best years are behind me, I was grieving that okay, and I've got this lisp. I don't know if people are going to want to hear me preach. I don't know if people are going to want to hear me sing. There was so much grieving. Anytime we drove near a hospital, I would break down crying. If I just saw a hospital sign or a logo, like I don't know. I was not healthy. And then for about 2 years, struggled with that. People had no idea. Meanwhile, I'm on 700 Club and Fox News, and millions of people are watching, and we're getting literally hundreds of emails every day. People writing in saying, you saved my life, blah, blah, blah. I was on the phone with a guy who's like, hey, I have 2 weeks to live, but I want you to know I'll be listening to your songs at the very end. And I'm, first of all, absolutely honored, and second of all, devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you spending your last 2 weeks talking to me? Because I'm still trying to decide if I want to keep living. You know what I mean? Obviously, I didn't tell him that. I was trying to encourage him.
How many Christians?
What are you doing, you jerk?
How many Christians come up to you and just like, but there's so many people in the Bible. There's the woman with the issue of blood. She didn't have a name. She just had her issue. There's the blind man, and how many people like came in that like. Look, I'm just trying to hang on.
Yeah.
But you should be like this one in the Bible and this one. You know what I'm saying? You know how Christian people get.
The biggest thing was like, oh, you're just like Job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be Job. I don't want to be your Bible character. I do not want to be your hero or someone you look up to. I'm still trying just to live. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying not to die. And I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that the impact we made, the millions of people who saw it, so many people who wrote in who were really blessed by it. And I'm grateful that God somehow used me, although God was using a very, very broken person, But people just didn't realize, like, they thought I was in the victory lap. Mm-hmm. And didn't realize, like, my battle was just starting. They don't tell you that. When you leave the hospital, then the battle starts. So, yeah, I was angry and grieving and trying to, but at the same time, I couldn't believe I was alive. So I'm running 100 miles an hour because I'm alive.
Before we go there,
yeah,
we do a really good job in America with healthcare as far as the technology we have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, insurance companies, we'll just put that aside because they're garbage.
Yeah,
but we got so much technology, and for you to be able to take a part of your arm and give you a new tongue, what an amazing ability, right?
Yes.
But I think, man, where we're really lacking in healthcare is that next step where you're talking about is the mental health, right?
Yes.
Like
no one told me.
You're healed now. Go on and figure out life, And
no one told me.
We bring
what would
soldiers
happen.
back over after everything they go through. We don't figure that part out.
We don't prepare them.
Yeah, walk us through a little piece of that and like how maybe with your experience, how can you help somebody else getting through that piece?
Yeah, they don't tell you like that. Your body is going to hold the tension and the pain of everything that happened in various areas of your body, your mind, and you need to get therapy. You need to stop and process it, because if you don't, what I did is I start running 100 miles an hour just because I'm alive, so I can, and not letting myself stop and process. 2 years go by, and it was like my brain knocked on the door like, we are going to stop now. out of nowhere, I get suicidal, depression. I literally tell my wife.
I mean, you couldn't pray through it. You didn't have enough faith.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Oh yeah, I've heard all the spiritual stuff, and I mean, I told her what bridge I was gonna to jump off of, and I was serious because I didn't process everything, and I've had all the people who the main thing I hated when someone would be like, all pain has purpose, and you'd be like, I bet you wouldn't change a thing. Look at the impact you've had. I bet if you could choose, you would go through all again. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. And maybe that's selfish. I'm not Jesus on a cross here. If I had the option, I would choose not to go through cancer. I think it's okay to not be okay with bad things that happen.
That's what I hear about some of these crazy testimonies. I got a really rough my 20s.
Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, gangs, all the things. And the people was like, well, would you change? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I grew up in church. I would stay there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now that I'm on this side, I would pay attention in school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would get a better education. All those things.
Yeah.
And for people to go, nah, man,
wouldn't you-
I'm just living in the slums because I have 5 felonies, but I wouldn't change nothing. Yeah, you would. Come on. Let's talk
They're
about
like,
that.
everything that I went through made me who I am today. I'm like, you would be a much healthier person and have done many greater things if you hadn't gone through
Yeah.
that. And that's not to, live in regret. That's just to say, thank God you made it here, but let's not repeat that.
Yeah,
'cause,
for sure.
You know what I mean? So I don't believe God gives cancer. I don't believe any of that. So when people tried to tell me, this is God's plan for you, I was like, no, it's not. We live in a fallen world. People suffer. That wasn't God's plan.
God could use it.
And he has used it, and he absolutely used it, and I am grateful. But I would go back and if I could choose, I would not have cancer.
Just X that part out of my life.
Yeah. Have I learned? Have I grown? Have I changed? Absolutely. But I don't know. I think someone needs to hear that it's okay to not be okay with what happened. What
do you do? How do you? What's the first step? How do you reach out for help? How's it okay not to be okay?
I think the question becomes, number one, accept the reality. It happened. It happened. That sucks that it happened, but it happened. And if you try to live holding on to something that clearly doesn't exist, I'll give you an example. I didn't change my voicemail. When you call my phone and be like, hey, this is Jason, I didn't change it until this past summer.
Wow.
Because it was the last clip I had of how I used to sound, and I was still embarrassed of my voice.
Wow.
And I finally, in making this new album, in making the album, I finally am healed. I finally am emotionally healed, and we can get to that. But where I finally erased it and recorded a new voicemail with this current list.
Wow.
But it took years.
And you're okay with it now?
I'm okay. Well, here's what it is. I've accepted the reality of it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I wouldn't say I'm okay. I'm still, I guess, not embarrassed of it. I use it as a strength now.
Yeah.
But I don't love it. I'm not like, oh, do you hear this lisp? Isn't it better than your normal voice? You know what I mean? No, but...
You're so jealous. I sound like Sid and you can't.
I sound like Sid from Ice Age. No. I have accepted my reality because in living with a fake reality, then life moves past you and you miss out on living. So number one, I accept the reality. Number two, am I going to get bitter or am I going to get better? Because I'm a big, I know they're not popular as much anymore, but I'm a big Marvel fan, Marvel Cinematic Universe. But when you look at every, are you okay? You hated that?
Made him sick.
That was one of my noises.
Yeah.
He was like, I prefer DC.
Sorry.
I'm Batman.
Sorry, he makes sounds. You'll have to.
Look at every hero and every villain in the comics. They all have one thing in common. Their origin story begins the same way. Begins with tragedy, right? Peter Parker, Spider-Man, right? He begins as an orphan. Loki, who becomes a villain in the Thor series, begins as an orphan. They all have the same beginning. The origin begins in tragedy, yet some become heroes, some become villains. Why? Because the heroes are the ones who chose to take that pain and help other people who have pain and get better. And the villains are the ones who said, well, if I'm going to hurt, everyone's going to hurt. And they chose to get bitter. And they felt like life owed them. Because I went through this tragedy, life owes me. So you get to choose, in your own story, to be the hero or the villain. eventually, I wanted to get better, not necessarily to be a hero, but to be the hero of my story. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to get better. I'm going to get better. And so, I got therapy for mental health. I took some time away from ministry. My doctors were like, hey, with what you're going through, we recommend not being around large crowds. Are you around large crowds? I'm like, well, it's a 4,000 member church, and I'm there every Sunday, and every time I show up, everyone wants to ask me how I'm doing, and then tell me all of their problems, and I appreciate that they come to me, but I am drowning in trying to save other people when I can't even save myself. So taking a break from that, I stepped away. My pastor blessed it and said, yes, take some time away. And I went and did something so opposite. I went and worked for an ad agency. Now the owner was a Christian, and it was a great ad agency, but I worked for an ad agency. All of our clients were restaurants. 2 months into it, COVID-19.
Oh.
And I get...
That was bad for California, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And for restaurants.
Yeah.
And so we furloughed 75% of the staff. But I'm feeling healthier because I stepped away from being around large crowds and trying to save other people and focusing on just saving myself. And obviously, I know the spiritual thing right there is be like, no, Jesus saves you. Yes, I get that. But
right. We still got to do the work.
We got to do the work. We can't be lazy. We got to do the work. And so I'm putting in the work. Like, Jesus comes to Lazarus, and he doesn't move the tomb by himself. Jesus got volunteers. He said, move the tomb, and then I'll bring him back to life. Jesus still partners with humans to do resurrection. So I'm getting better, but also I need money, right? So what are we going to do? And I looked at my life and everything I've been through, and I've done video editing, and I've done graphic design, and I've done kids ministry, youth ministry, young adult ministry, marriage, all this stuff. My wife's a teacher; she's done curriculum, and I said, "Honey, if we take everything we've done and all of our skills, and my love for teaching Bible and your love for curriculum, we could build our own Netflix for Christian families, walk them through the Bible in a chronological order." We'll call it My Tribe. We'll build an app. And while people are at home not having church, we're going to give them church. And we're going to make videos for all ages. Because what was happening is churches were doing a live stream. Yeah. They didn't have anything for little kids. And the stuff that was for kids was so young and silly that the adults didn't want to watch it. So families were stuck inside their house together, but they weren't having church together. And COVID-19 was the perfect time to have church together. You're literally stuck in your home. Get the whole family and have church together. So we said, let's make videos like Pixar does, like Disney does, where all ages are laughing and learning together. And kids are laughing, teens are laughing, adults are laughing, and they're having fun. And we're taking them through the Bible. 30-minute episodes. We'll have worksheets and curriculum. So we build this thing. We launch it within 2 weeks. Call it My Tribe. I'm thinking COVID's not going to last that long. And this is just going to be a temporary...
Still lasting in California.
Yeah. And I'm thinking this will be a temporary thing. And My Tribe just blows up nationally, internationally.
Before you go on,
yeah.
I got one more question about the mental health stuff.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to... This is kind of a passion of mine.
Yeah.
Mental health. I have a family that... A large number of my family deal with mental health. And I've been very blessed to be able to work through that and not have to deal with a lot of myself, but I've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
How do I help you in that situation? How does a brother help someone that's there?
Yeah.
Without bothering you, like, I just need to be alone, how do we work through that thing by showing our support, but also letting you do what you got to do?
I think by asking that exact question the way you just asked it is the answer.
Okay.
Where you come to me and you say, Jason, I love you. I want to help you. I don't want to be an extra burden. You have so much you're going through. I want you to know I'm here to talk, to not talk, to watch TV, to take you out to eat, whatever. I'm just here. You have access to me.
So good.
And if you don't use it, I will not be offended. And I think that's big because there was people who wanted to help, but then if I didn't go to them, then they were like, offended.
What if they're still spiraling and you like, I have to do what if I don't do nothing, then what? You know what I'm saying? I think that's what a lot of people feel like we offer help and then you still spiral and then you just like, do I just wait on him or do I intervene? You know what I mean? This might be something to ask your wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, God has to be God and save the day.
Good.
We're not God.
Okay. That's good.
If we believe prayer works, then let's put that to the test.
Good.
But also, that's probably a better question for a real therapist. I probably should. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I really don't know the answer. I do know that sometimes we actually push people away by being too spiritual with them and too eager. Well, the people I talked with honestly were the ones who let me be honest, who said, bro, just tell me I'm here if you want. And people who just let me vent, where I didn't have to be the pastor Jason in that moment. I could just be like, this is how I really feel. Yeah. Our relationship strengthened. And they were okay with like, hey, Jason's not in an okay spot, but I'm going to just be with him and believe that God's going to bring him back around. And God did. I remember talking with one guy where I'm like, dude, I'm freaking out. I think, and I just could, he wasn't panicked. I was like, bro, are you okay? Like, I'm going crazy. I don't know what I believe anymore. And he was just like, God, you got you, man. I'm glad you're in this place. Not I'm glad you're in this place, but he was like, I'm glad you're asking these questions. Yeah. When I saw him not panic, then it helped me not panic and just be like, you know what? This is a journey. Yeah. Faith is a journey, and I'm just going to play it out with God. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that helped because he wasn't like, oh my God, let's call it intervention and let's pray for you and let's cast some demons out. You know what I mean? He didn't freak out. He was like, dude, God's got you on this journey. And all these characters in the Bible, they asked tough questions. And Elijah was suicidal and Jeremiah was suicidal. And like Moses wanted to quit. And you know what? What made them heroes is they didn't quit. And sometimes, and I sing a song about that, sometimes there's only one thing you need to get done. And all it is that you don't give up. That's it. I'm not going to ask anything else of you. Just wake up tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And wake up the next day. And wake up the next day. That's all I need you to do right now.
Very good.
Yeah, one of the, I read this book a while back ago. This guy was a pastor, psychologist, started his career as a chaplain in a, I guess whatever degree trauma center that you can go. Yeah. So all the emergency stuff. And he was just talking about, he got there, first night on the job, somebody's dying. What do? You got a whole grieving family, tough situation. There's no time for processing. They just know family member's going to die or it has already passed. What do you do? And after his experience there, he just talks about the importance of being a calming presence and how that is a characteristic of Jesus.
Yeah,
so
peace.
Even whenever we don't have anything to say, whenever you have the ability, because you know that God has graced you with that ability now to walk into a room that is full of chaos, you go in and you are the calming presence. You don't have to say anything, but just knowing that you're there and that you're available. And those two things, it means the world to people. And we've experienced it. We've experienced it all over the years in ministry in so many ways, being with a grieving family in their toughest times. Mm-hmm. And they come back after some processing has taken place. They come back and they just say, thank you so much. You don't know what it meant. And we were just sitting there and you're like, I ate your food and I drank your coffee, but I'm here and whatever you need is whatever you need. And
been in many hospital rooms where you just sat in the corner and let the family be family. Yeah. But them just knowing that their pastor was here or one of their pastors was here, that they felt like you were the safety net, right?
And you never saw Jesus panic.
Yeah.
Exactly. He had his mind, I'm sure, was running 1,000,000 miles a second, but you never saw him stressed. You never saw him panic. He was asleep in the storm. Yeah. Right? And
probably counting sheep. Got to 99. One was missing.
Still not panicked.
Still not funny.
Still not panicked.
He's like, man, this is going to be a good teaching later on.
That's where he got all his parables. Every parable Jesus said was just his dream.
That's why he was annoyed when they woke him up.
I was dreaming about this guy who didn't forgive and he had this debt.
I think another important thing, though, is I think the person who's going through whatever, a lot of times they don't know what they need. So if you're that person that's there like, hey, what do you need? Do you want me to talk with you? Do you want me to shut up and be quiet?
Yeah.
I think
Can
that person
Can I give a perfect example of that?
yeah.
So there were people who wanted to drop off meals and then eat them with us.
Yeah.
Oh,
When you are covered in your own slime
Yeah.
and your wife is working 2 jobs, so she can't really keep the house clean, you do not want anyone in your house.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, those people got offended?
Yeah.
And like, why are you adding more drama to my life right now? And guess what? I'm not in relationship with those people.
Yeah.
You know who I am in a relationship with? I'll give her a shout out right now. Karen Russ and her family. I don't know if she listens to your podcast.
She probably
but
does.
She's in Singapore.
And if not, she should.
Yeah. But she but her family literally would say, "Hey, we've dropped off food. It's outside your door. We've driven away." And because she knew.
yeah.
My wife doesn't want anyone to see her right now with her hair all crazy and she just got home from work. Like, they would make food with literally no strings attached.
So
And
good.
guess what? We are still in such a strong relationship with them to this day because they unconditionally supported us, even though we couldn't give anything back.
Yeah.
We didn't see them. We didn't want to see any humans during that moment. You know what I mean? So that's an example of just like, I'm going to give, and I'm not even going to get to see you enjoy the meal. I'm not going to get, because some people we give because it makes us feel good to see.
We give and then we wait around for a thank you.
Yes. And because it feels good to see the person. And can you give and not get anything in return? And that's what they did. And guess what? That's who we're still in a relationship with. It is sad how many people I lost friendships because I had cancer and they got offended. And I'm like, what?
Jason, you're such a jerk.
I
man.
know. I'm sorry. I got cancer.
I'm glad-
Sorry that I went through the cancer.
I'm glad
Yeah.
somebody said it.
All right, go ahead. Gentlemen.
Yeah. Because we have a very mixed audience here. We talk a lot of stuff about ministry and health in ministry and when time to step out or get help, get back up to speed. But you were just talking about some aspects that from just a minister's perspective, and I heard this. It was a very fresh take. Did not originate with me, but they were talking about how God. The way God produces things after its kind, and animals will produce an animal that is just like them, and trees, and what a tree produces. Where they got to with all this, what a tree produces is not what the tree needs in order for it to survive. So what it gives out is not what it needs to survive. So whenever we're talking about ministers and giftings and callings, especially in the midst of trauma, chaos, and all the busyness of life, how is it that God uses these broken people, broken trees, so to speak, and there's still fruit that is given, and people are being blessed, they're being touched, and it was just really cool the way they broke it down, because the fruit is not for the tree. The tree gets its nourishment from the sun, from the water, from the soil, but the fruit that it produces is never for the tree, but other people. Who's the fruit for? It's for other people, and the fruit is just the function of the tree that other people get, right? So because I've been there, you've been there, anybody that's ever been in ministry has been there. How can I keep going whenever I'm still dealing with my things? And there is, you guys talked about it, sometimes you need that break, but then in other times, I had a conversation with my senior pastor not too long ago, and I said, I need time off and I need a break. How do I do that?
Yeah.
I said, how do I do that? And he says, you don't get one. You just do it. And it took me a while to process that. I was angry. I was angry. Everybody else, but not me. And then you start understanding some things. It's like, okay, this is a function of what I do. This is how God made me to be. So I'm going to be that way while getting help in other areas. Right. But I just thought that was an important point to hit, because I think we do have a lot of people that listen that are stuck in just the regular programming of the fruit that is produced out of their life, and there's a lot of people tugging at them for this thing that they produce, and sometimes the answer is you just don't give up and you just keep on going, you keep on pressing. and surrounding yourself with people that will be able to give you that rest, and just like you said, no strings attached type of thing.
Yeah.
To say you can be genuinely you, and that is all I want. That is all I need. So that's life giving for me, because that's those relationships. And one of those was Pastor David. We just had he didn't even know that, but we just had a conversation, and we talked about nothing, some ministry stuff, but just talking about nothing. How's life? How are things are going? And I told him at the end of that, it's like, I need more of that conversation, maybe even more on some of the frivolous side, right?
Yeah.
To where, because everything around us is always busy. It's always important. Something always has to get done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to sit there. I'm not a sports guy, but sometimes I just want to sit there and let's talk sports.
Well, you need people around you that are not always needing something from you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I sat down with my best friends, Vaughn Juan, and he was in a situation where he came from the secular side of music, and then he blew up into the Christian hip hop scene, and everybody was wanting something from him. And I sat down and I was talking to him. It was a late night. We was at the studio, and I told him, I said, "Listen, man, I don't want nothing from you." Mm-hmm. And he stopped everything that he was doing. He was engineering, and he stopped everything he was doing. He looked at me and he goes, "What do you mean by that?" You don't want
Doesn't
nothing
even
from
register.
me. I said, "Man, I don't want no. I want to serve you. I want to disciple you. I want to do these things." And he goes, "I don't even know what that means." Like, everybody around him, especially at that time, because he was the big name, So all the Christian hip hop guys were wanting to be in his studio, wanting to get a feature for him, wanting to be on the shows that he was on. So everything was pulling.
Yeah, there's always an angle.
Yes, and he needed me just to be there, to not want something, just to have that conversation and that relationship. So that was good.
Yeah.
Tell me this: God give you this idea of the tribe.
Yes, yeah.
Where did the
And this is all part of the healing process.
yeah? Where did that come? Did it come from a dream? Did it just
I was streaming in 99 Sheep.
a tribe of sheep?
A tribe of sheep. Oh, you know what's crazy is I didn't have time to overthink it. So
You just went straight in like creative mode.
So my wife has this amazing video of me with a blanket around me, walking back and forth, literally for the first time, brainstorming the idea out loud with her. And for some reason, she knew, just get this on video. So she got it. Literally, I had just been fired right before I came in. So, they pull everyone on Zoom, and we already know, this is not going to be good because all the restaurants are going down. 75% of the staff gets furloughed. They say, hey, your directors will let you know if you're one of those. And I knew. I had just been in for 2 months. So I know last in, first out, or whatever it is. So, sure enough, he calls me on the Zoom. Says, I'm so sorry. We can only keep, 2 people out of our 15 guys. And I was, totally fine with it because I was kind of expecting that. Hangs up. I walk into the bedroom, and I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? And I guess the equivalent would be when Moses, God comes to Moses and he's calling him, and Moses is like, I can't do it. And God says, what's in your hand? So my question is, what is in our hand? What do we have? Moses had the Gandalf stick, but what do I have? And I just thought, I've done video editing. I've done kids, youth, adult parent ministry. I've done, my wife's a teacher. What do we have? What talents do we have? And what need is there? And here's our talents, and here's the need. The need is families are not having church together on Sundays, and we can answer that need with the gifts we have. So what gifts do we have, and what's the need that it goes with? So within 2 weeks, we start My Tribe. I didn't have time. The name, people have asked me about the name. I know most of the Bible is about the 12 tribes, and this is going to be a video series for families, for their tribe. So, My Tribe. But I didn't have time to overthink it or even check if someone else had the name.
That's how the Refuge Project came out. It's we're going to start a podcast, and we're just I'm the only one who brought anything. They were like, okay, we don't have nothing else. Let's go with it.
And then you get a cease and desist.
But we know you didn't overthink.
No, I didn't overthink.
So anyway, we start My Tribe. It starts growing and growing and growing, and ironically, the impact we're making with My Tribe ends up reaching more people than I was reaching on Sundays. Yet I'm not surrounded by people.
Mm-hmm. How?
So
how did it go from a thought in an apartment or a house or whatever to reach an abundance of people?
So I started in the apartment, put up a green screen. I come to my wife and I said, hey, I need, just a few $1,000s. I need some money so I can get a camera, microphone, lighting, and a green screen. And she was like, we don't have that money. And I was like, okay. And this is March, right? I was like, but we're going to get a tax refund, right? Yes. I was like, can I use that? She's like, yeah, but you never do taxes on time. So if you do our taxes, you can have that money.
That's me.
I did taxes. I did it that day.
There you go.
Like, I've never been motivated to do taxes, but literally, I needed the money so I could invest in it. I buy the camera, I buy the green screen, all of that.
Just a nerd out. What camera?
Sony, the Sony A7, I think it was.
All right.
Perfect camera for what we were doing.
Okay.
With the little Sony lens.
Mm-hmm.
So then I start making the videos, making it 30-minute episodes. It's just me. I'm doing all the filming, the editing. I put a green screen so I can put any background behind me. I start putting it out there. And first, all I did, I just posted on Facebook. I posted on I reached out to friends, people I knew who were at home. I didn't have that many. I literally priced it based on I would probably only get 100 people to join, based on my network. And can I live off of that, right? So it was based on can I get 100 people. What happened is, though, because I was at that ad agency, remember, this is how God works everything out. At the ad agency, I didn't know how long I would be there, but I was soaking. I was asking questions. I met with every department. I asked, what do you do? Tell me why you do it. How do you do it? I learned Facebook marketing. I learned all of this stuff. I even learned what microphones I would need if I was to do my own video show. Like, I learned all this stuff. We worked on commercials that ended up in the Super Bowl. So, they were a legit ad agency. I learned as much as I could. So, all of a sudden, I start running Facebook ads using what I just learned 2 months earlier at the ad agency. And I start getting families. All I'm doing, I have a 30-minute episode. I'll take a couple minutes from it, make a fun video, put it on Facebook, put some money behind it, start advertising. I start ads, and that's how we grew. And all I would do, I would take whatever money I had, whatever money I made the month before, and that was my ad budget for Facebook. Well, now I would have more money the next month because of we got conversions. And I would just keep increasing my advertising until eventually... at one point, we were spending $30,000 a month on advertising, which is insane.
That's wow.
And that's just on advertising. And we were reaching, our videos reaching millions and millions of people. We had thousands of families part of My Tribe. It was exciting. And then, all of a sudden, streaming starts crashing, right? Netflix panics, Disney panics, everyone's panicking. Streaming is going down because live events are opening back up. Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden... all of these churches are using our My Tribe content for their kids' ministries. And as live events open up, they all say, wouldn't it be cool to have the My Tribe guy come in person? So now we start getting invited.
So how do you say, I'm going to give this to the family for $19.99 or whatever it is? Then how do you convert that into a church? Do you say, okay, churches...
We gave them the same price.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not a good business guy. I'm not good at business. I was literally
just buy it.
Literally, while inflation was going up, we brought our prices down so that it would be affordable. Looking back, that was a stupid decision.
You'll never get it back. You're always going to be behind the curve now.
But it was something I was proud to do of like, hey, we don't need to be spending $30,000 on Facebook. We don't need to grow anymore. Like, let's the families who have joined us, let's bring their pricing down.
So how long did it take you to get the first 100? Right away?
I think within 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months, and then how long did it get you to the next milestone?
Within a few months after that, we were at 2,000 people. Wow. It went quick.
Wow.
This was all like,
and you're shocked. So you're shooting today, and then publishing 7 days from now, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no. Write the episode Monday, shoot it Tuesday, edit Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all-nighter, 24 hours staying awake to get it out in time for the midnight deadline so that Saturday morning kids could wake up and they could have it for Saturday morning. Sunday families could use it. It was, I mean, I was putting in 80 hours a week. But I'm not surrounded by anyone. Yeah. It's just me in my apartment. The government doesn't even want us outside. Like, you're not supposed to be around people. And that's exactly what I needed to hear.
We were here shooting guns and robbing people.
Yeah, that's Texas versus California.
Robbing people.
And anyway, so I was able to, so I'm able to just be in my own world. And that's there's some healing there. There's some catharsis. And being able to make a massive impact, but not being around a bunch of people.
So are we singing yet?
No. So here's the thing. I thought that dream died.
So you just
for those who don't know, okay, I've started so many bands growing up. I was in a rap group. I was in a punk rock group. I was in a worship band. I was in all these different groups, right? I love music. I'm first and foremost a singer, songwriter, worship leader. Music is my passion. I thought that dream died, and I surrendered it. I said, fine, if that's how it, then I will surrender that. I never planned to do videos. I never planned to have a video streaming platform. That was never part of the plan. That literally was pivoting. Okay? Here's what life has dealt me. How are we going to pivot? Where's the need? How can I take what I've done and apply it to that? So all of a sudden, my tribe grows up. But my tribe was never the dream. I was enjoying it, but that wasn't like my dream. It was just I'm feeling a need right now. All of a sudden, I start getting invited to do live events. We're going to all these churches, and all of a sudden, it's a 2-week tour. All of a sudden, it's a month-long tour. All of a sudden, it's like there's all these churches everywhere. We can't get to all of them within a few months. It would take a year to reach them all. Meanwhile, streaming is plummeting for everyone. And so my wife and I were talking like, what's the next step? What's next in the journey? Mind you, I've still given up on the dream of singing and making music. Just because, I've accepted the reality. And God, I'm just, use me how you want. All right? I have different things I can do, and I'm just going to be useful. And I'm not going to be bitter about, I'm just going to, whatever you put in front of me, I'll do it to the best of my ability. So now we're doing videos, and now we're on tour.
How many weeks in a row did you put out new videos?
Oh, every week I put out a new episode, 30-minute episode.
For how long?
Over 2 years.
Wow.
It was a lot of work.
Is the schedule still the same?
Oh, no.
I didn't know if you had somebody else doing it while you're on the road.
Actually, right now we do have an episode coming out every week. Now what we do is we'll have like a 6-week series. It'll come out every week, and then there'll be like a few weeks of nothing. Okay. And then we'll hit them with another series. Because people aren't streaming as much as they used to. Yeah. Back then, everyone's stuck inside their home. So there was a need for content. So we were just pumping out. Eventually, got to the point I could hire employees and stuff. So I have a friend, an employee who's back in San Diego, who's editing this week's episode. And there'll be a new episode every week it's like a 6-week series while I'm on the road. So I don't even have to do it anymore. He does it, and I just quality check it. Nice. Okay, so all of a sudden, streaming is going down. It's not sustainable, but touring keeps increasing. Meanwhile, every time we're on tour, we're still paying San Diego rent. And so we're paying for Airbnb or hotels, and we're paying rent. So all of a sudden, my wife and I are like, okay, this isn't sustainable. But the new need is for live events. People want us in person. So I say, hey, I'm going to go away for a day over to this like outdoor area where I can really think. You stay inside or whatever you want to do. Let's pray, and then we'll come back together and see what we both have, right? So I go out to this place where I can think and pray. And I pull up a Google map, and I start putting a dot at every church on the Google map that has invited us. Ends up being like 200 dots all across the nation, and it makes like a loop. Like you can hit everyone in 1 to 2 years.
And this is what year is this?
This is last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is summer of last year, 2023, and so I'm like, the only way to really do this is our lease for our apartment comes up in a few months. If we just move into like an RV and hit the road for a couple of years, we could hit every church that's invited me. But there's no way my wife is going to go for it. There's no way. My wife she's a homebody. She had to move from home to home growing up as a kid. All she wants is her home and her stability. So I go home thinking I'm going to have to convince my wife about this. I get home, and my wife printed out a map of America, and she took colored pins and pinned every church that invited us. She pinned it, and it literally was an analog version of my digital map I had just made. And she said, Jason, I'm going to try to convince you of something. I think we need to move into maybe like a van or an RV or a small one and hit the road for a year, maybe 2, and hit all these churches. And then I showed her my laptop. I mean, that's God, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we started getting ready. We started moving, figuring out the move. And this past January, we hit the road. This is month 11, or month 12. It's December now, right? This is month 12. Mm-hmm. And I have never been happier. But and let me just bring the story to an end. Here's the finale. Here's where the full healing finally came. The whole time, I'm getting healthier and healthier, but I'm not fully healed from the trauma. In April, we're headed into Ohio. I get a phone call from this church, a large church that we're about to go to in May. Pastor's son. And he says, hey, we've got a recording studio. God put it on my heart to make music with you. I'd love to do a song or two. Open up the studio for you. Let's make a song. And all of a sudden it was like, wait, am I going to get that dream? Yeah. Am I going to get to sing again? Do I get to make music again? But immediately I'm like, I don't want to get my hopes up. I bet it's probably like, a crappy studio, and I'll probably just play piano. It'll be like one track. It'll be a quick live thing, you know what I mean? And I'm down playing it, but I'm grateful, though, to even get to scratch that itch a little bit. Because I didn't want to be the cancer guy, and now I didn't want to be the My Tribe guy. I don't want to be the slapstick, kids humor, kids ministry guy. That's not who I am. I was fulfilling a need. But who I am and who I've always been is I'm a singer, songwriter, preacher. That's who I want to be. But that's not my reality. So I will accept whatever God puts in front of me and do it to the best of my ability. And I believe God rewards that. I go to the studio. I meet the guy. Turns out they have a state-of-the-art studio that they built in the 90s. So it even has cement under the ground. Like, they built it to be a legit recording studio. Nice. Turns out this kid, I call him a kid. I mean, he's my age. But, like, he is an incredible producer. We do the first song together. We immediately knew, like, dude, we work fast, we work well together. What if we try to do a whole album? So I cancel. I was supposed to go to, I was going to take my wife, this is a terrible husband move. I was supposed to take my wife to Niagara Falls and to have a week off of like, hey, we've been on tour for a few months, let's go to Niagara Falls and see what the hype's about. I go to her and I'm like, hey, if we cancel that trip, I could pump out all 10 songs. And my wife knew, like, you need this. This is your dream since you were a kid. Since you were in first, I wrote my first song in first grade. She's like, this has been your dream, to make music, to go on tour, to preach. Do it. So we can't. I still have never been to Niagara Falls.
So your wife is Jesus.
Yeah. So is Niagara Falls nice? I've still never been there.
My brother has. He says it's gorgeous.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, one day. So anyway,
we'll send pictures.
We pump out all 10 songs, but the thing is, half the songs I hadn't even written yet. I didn't know what I was going to do. I go in the studio, and for the first time, I get to write about cancer, but from after the fact, not while I'm living it. Because most of my songs have been, I'm in the middle of it, and I know I'm supposed to say, like, only you can make me brave. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm supposed to say these things, but I'm having a hard time living it. Now I'm on the other end, and I'm looking back of like, oh my God, God was there the whole time. And it's a different perspective. It's older. It's more mature. It's looking back and actually being able to have something to say. Because I actually survived it, and I'm no longer suicidal, and I'm no longer have PTSD. The album is totally different, and I just start writing, and I got to say things I've always wanted to say. Like, we did the song on Sunday, Please No Flowers, about how when people found out I got cancer, they said the nicest things to me. And I felt like I was at my own eulogy. And then I was like, why don't we say these things while people are alive? Why do we wait till people are dead or dying? I got to sing about that. I got to sing about that moment where I had this whole list of 10 things I needed to get done. And I didn't get any of them done except for one thing. And I don't know, maybe we can play the song at the end. But like, the only thing I didn't get done is I didn't give up. And that was enough. And then the
Is that
next
the name
day,
of the song?
the song is called Checklist.
Checklist.
I
We'll pull it up.
I had this whole checklist, and the only thing I got done was I didn't give up, and that was all I needed to get done. As I'm writing these songs, guys, like every night I'm bawling. I'm in the studio past midnight by myself. I am I've never cried this hard. I'm letting everything. It's therapy. Yeah. I'm crying and I'm writing things that have been in my brain, but there was no reason to write about them because that music was over. I write these 10 songs, and I'm telling you, after those 2 weeks, I have felt so whole and healed since the moment. I feel closure. I don't even need to talk about. I'm gonna finish this tour doing my cancer story because people want to hear about it. But after this tour, I don't need to talk about the cancer thing unless people really want to hear it. Like, I am so healed and whole. I feel like I can finally move on from that chapter. It's been almost a decade that it's consumed my life. Yeah. This cancer and this lisp. And we're going back to Ohio next year, and we're going to make another album, and I don't know what it's going to be about, but I can't wait. And then the next tour is going to be based on that album, and I'm finally doing what I've always wanted to do. I'm making music, and it's almost like I couldn't make music until I was healed, and God resurrected the dream once I was healthy enough.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I got 2 questions on that. The first is, what were the biggest things you had to overcome? Because when I listened to that song a while ago, you still have the pipes, right? You still have that. But what was the biggest physical thing that you had to overcome to really sing?
It's the enunciation. I remember on Sunday.
You had to relearn how to use your arm.
Well,
in your mouth.
the tongue. Yeah, because my tongue doesn't move.
Okay.
It's literally it's an arm. My tongue doesn't move. So like, you know how your tongue does that thing where when you swallow it, like goes like, it does the worm, the caterpillar, right? Uh-huh. It flips food to the back. My tongue doesn't do it. I cannot stick my tongue out. Wow. So like, if you stick your tongue in your mouth, I can't move my tongue. So in singing and pronunciation, so like on Sunday, I that kid named Theo. He's my kid. That's your kid. Yeah. So he kept thinking I said his name wrong.
Yeah, right. But and Theo will correct you. By the way.
Yes. But I can't do TH. I have a hard time doing C. Like I can't do that. Yeah. So that's the hardest because my main song I wrote is called These Walls. So that was a mistake. That's the song that went viral. But it's hard to say it. So the biggest hurdle is when I'm with my producer. He'll have me do take after take after take, and helping me try to enunciate. But while enunciating, you're still trying to do voice acting, and you're trying to hit the note. So it is challenging, but it's gotten a lot easier now than it was when I first was trying to sing.
The other question is, how much pushback are you getting? Like, okay, so when you came, just to be honest, I thought we were getting to My Tribe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that I was not excited about that, but that's what we thought we was getting. Yes. And then you come on. So how much pushback you getting? Like, hey, bro, I thought you was going to bring the My Tribe. Where's the llama at?
Yeah. You know what's cool? I was worried about that because this is rebranding. Right, I'm totally rebranding. Because I don't want to be the My Tribe guy. I don't want to be the cancer guy. Right now, I am Untitled guy. For this season, who knows what the next season is? But I think what has helped is every time I've come to a church, it is so random and different than the last time. So the first time I came, I think I did How I Survived, and then I did Mission Possible, where I wore a James Bond tuxedo and had videos of me jumping on an airplane. But then the next time I came here, we did Bible Bombs. And it was like improv comedy / preaching. And so a lot of these churches, every time I come, they have no idea. I've never told them what I'm going to do when I get there. And so it's just always so random. So now what's happening is I come in with this thing. And at first there is like, wait, you have all this stuff now. You have all these effects and this piano, and you didn't have that before.
I was wondering how that was going to, like... Yeah. How were you getting My Tribe and some of those other silly things that you did? Yeah. Out of what you was bringing, I'm like, okay, I guess he's got the vision for it, but it was totally different.
It's totally different, and kind of that. I guess that became the brand. Is when Jason comes, it's going to be creative, and it's going to be unique, and it's not going to be what you've seen before. And because I built that up with My Tribe, it's made it easy to make the transition. And then I do this new show, and afterwards, one of my favorite things, one pastor was like, how is this not what it always was? Because this feels like the most authentic version of you. And he's like, now I can't even remember what you used to do because this feels like you. And so I am excited, but I was nervous. Like, our church is going to be okay with it. But are you okay?
He's never okay. Keep going.
But
Throat deal.
but if our church is going to be okay with me coming in, and I'm not doing my tribe, I'm doing music. But what's been happening is our altar calls have been far more powerful than when we did. And in the end, that's all that matters.
It's because it's authentic.
It's authentic. And it is the most real version of me, and I think that comes through.
We had one of the most powerful theatrics thing was The Glory of the Fire. I don't know if you've ever got to see it, but 10 years ago, it was maybe even longer than that.
It was longer than that.
Yeah.
When was you in it? How old were you?
When I was
a
in
teen,
it,
right?
I was probably like 16.
Were you 16? So
Were you Satan?
I was Satan.
So that was like 15
But
years
I
ago.
grew up seeing it.
Right. So that was 15 years ago, probably the last time we done it. So before that, but it was, I mean, powerful.
Yeah.
Super, super powerful. The production was amazing.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing every year. Never changed.
Yeah.
The same scenes. And, you know, he always talked about doing something different, but never did it different. And then it died.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's something I think that if you're going to continue to make those tours, you do an amazing job.
Yeah, the next tour is probably going to be called the Hollywood Ending Tour, and we're going to take the Lost Trilogy of, when Jesus talks about the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. It creates this amazing trilogy that all connects, and so I think we're going to, we're already mapping out, even that one doesn't even start till January 2026, but we're already mapping out what are the songs going to be, what is the message going to be, what are the effects going to be, how are we going to bring the parables to life. So we're always thinking ahead, because what's amazing is we have like a 99% retention rate, meaning pretty much every church that we go to wants us to come back, which I'm so grateful for, which is why we might be doing this on the road for 10 years, because those 200 churches want us to come back, but we're getting more churches that want us. And so, but I never want to come back and just do the same thing, because I remember we would have the same guest speaker every year, and he would just tell his testimony, the same testimony every time. And so that's why I'm saying this might be the last time I do my cancer testimony. It isn't a new way of doing it. It's more unique, and I tell more of the story because more has happened. But the next time I come here, I'm probably just going to preach about the parables, and it'll not even touch on my testimony, because I want, every time I come here, I want it to be new and fresh and exciting, and in the end, it's going to present the gospel. And as long as at the end we present the gospel, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I've told the same story on here when we were doing running the record label and stuff. It was just like the same song got written over and over again.
Yeah.
I grew up in the slums, I did drugs, and this and that, and then the next album would be the same.
Yeah.
And I was just like, where's the growth? Are you not growing as a Christian?
Yeah.
Or are you just doing what you always done, you know? So
Yeah.
I was just like, let that album be the next guy that just got saved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do something for, the Christians that are already a little bit more mature.
Yep.
See, I wish you would take that methodology right there and you would apply it to where you eat, because Luby's is dead.
You need something new, man. It's time. for
Luby's.
something
I
new.
need to go back to that. I haven't been to Luby's in a minute.
Well,
I
thank
will
God.
say
God is good.
the new album is called Blank Canvas because it was me saying, all right, I get a chance to finally make music. I'm going to start from the beginning. Blank canvas. Here's my story. Now that I'm healed from it, here's my story. Now we're good. Next album. I don't need to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the next journey of life, and then the next album, and the next, and yeah, it doesn't need to be the same. No one wants to hear my cancer story over and over and over. It needs to be what did I learn next? And we even did that with the show where I talked about my wife breaking me out of rehab. Like, I never shared that story before, but
Yeah, that was a really cool take.
yeah. Like, here's what's happened next. Here's how I'm doing now, because that fight is still with you, And so I'm excited to hopefully you let me come back and we'll do it again
For sure.
So how do you go about singing with the list but not telling the story?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. There'll probably have to be one sentence in there, for those who don't know, I lost 80% of my tongue. I was told I'd never sing or speak again, but here we are.
Yeah.
There might be one quick disclaimer for people who are like, he's from California and he has a list. Uh-oh. I'm like, meet my woman wife, So there might be a quick disclaimer, but it's not going to be the essence of the show. That I want the next one to be just, I'm going to bring the parables to life like you've never seen. That's really what I want the heart to be.
Yeah, it's not Rahab the prostitute. It's Rahab the great grandma of Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I
wasn't sure where you're going. That's good. I
He
like
brought
that.
it back.
Hey, what's your last name?
Slaughter.
There it is, and we full circle moment.
Brought
There we
it
go.
back.
And for whenever Jason David comes back, he's gonna find out how to breathe through his butt. So there we go.
Yes.
Okay, tell me what you got coming up as far as music.
Music. All right.
Wait,
so,
did we miss anything in your story?
no, that's the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was anything that we needed to cover before.
No, that's pretty much the story. Now what we've done is when I was in San Diego, because my producer, I now have two producers. I have the guy in Ohio, and then I've got my original producer who did Only You and These Walls. While I was in San Diego, I showed him the new album, and we did some remixes and acoustic versions of those songs. So those are going to come out. Right now we've been releasing singles, and then in January the entire album will come out on Spotify and all those.
I was going to ask you that because I was having trouble finding
the
full album.
Yeah, it's the artist name is I Am Untitled, and then the album when it comes out will be called Blank Canvas. But right now you can listen to 5 of the songs from the album,
Which is in January.
January 3rd. Yep, and then starting in February, every few weeks we're going to drop an acoustic version or a remix, and some of the remixes are pretty much new songs. Like we sampled the choir that sings "You Are Good, God," and then we sped it up, and then we just wrote a completely new song in the style of like Forrest Frank, and just had fun. Just made it a party song, a Jesus party song. So a bunch of those will come out, and then around just late fall next year we'll have a brand new album. Right now the working title is Hollywood Ending. Just the idea being what happens when your life doesn't quite have the Hollywood ending you thought it was going to have. And slash, maybe that needs to be, maybe we need to end that whole idea of Hollywood ending. So that's kind of the plan.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very good.
But I've also thrown out any 2-year plan. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, whatever God wants to do, I'm going to do music as long as He lets me, and I'm loving it right now.
Yeah. And I think that it's important. So what faith have you come out? Are you a non-denominational?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not that it's important.
He's a
but
black Hebrew Israelite.
power to the people. I love to wear purple, and is that the color they wear? I don't know. My dad was non-denom, but kind of said, like, when I asked him, I was a kid, like, he said the closest probably would be like Assemblies of God, maybe, probably.
Okay. Is that where you visit mostly?
No, here's what's so cool. And my tribe reaches all denominations, and I'll tell you why. So when I was in elementary school, I went to a Baptist private school, and then I went to a Lutheran junior high, a Calvin,
It just kept getting boring.
a Calvinist high school. That was interesting. And then
Wait.
Lutheran
Oh, no, okay.
Junior.
I thought you meant Calvinist Lutheran. Okay, you were
Yeah.
Calvinist.
Calvinist high school,
school.
and then Nazarene College.
Okay, so you're all kinds of confused.
I'm all kinds of confused, and that has helped me in our My Tribe audience. We
Very good.
made sure, like, so our denomination is all over the place. I'd say the number
So
one.
the llama doesn't speak tongues?
Well, I mean, he speaks Lama, so I guess. But yeah, no, our number one denomination that invites us is probably Assemblies of God, because even the mega church I was at when I went viral, that was Assemblies of God.
Yeah, and they got a good network. So that
They're a great
helps.
network.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Baptist,
Okay.
because the Baptist denomination has a real reverence for the Bible and the Word of God,
Right.
and because we went through the Bible chronologically, Baptist church, they love that for their kids'
Do
ministry.
they like Sparks?
The ones the ones that invite me do.
They-
I've been at every denomination. I've been at Methodist, Lutheran. And there's sometimes I get there where I'm like, I have a baby Yoda in my bag, right? Like, I'm about to pull out the Thanos gauntlet from Avengers. Like, are you okay with this? I'm shocked. But I think I got away with it because I came in as a kids ministry guy. Like, you look at VeggieTales, every denomination likes VeggieTales. So
Yeah.
if you do it for kids, if you do VBS, you
But
can do
Christians
anything.
like food too, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
They don't
all
like
kinda-
their vegetables. That's
Yeah. So yeah, probably Baptist and AOG are the main top two denominations, but it's
Did you
everywhere.
do any Catholic?
I actually have Roman Catholic families that watch my tribe, which is cool. But no, I've not gone to a
That'd
Catholic
be
church.
interesting.
We have Mormon families.
If you ever go to a Catholic church, call me. I'll meet you there.
Okay.
Just wanna
Just to see
how
what happens. Yeah, we have Mormon families that watch, and we're just preaching Jesus. You know, we have every type of denomination, even those who wouldn't even be considered denominations. They'd be considered a different whatever. They're not Protestant, but sorry, those are the ones watching my tribe. As far as the ones I'm going to, yeah, it's all over the map. But Baptist, Assemblies of God, Full Gospel, Nazarene, non-denom, Lutheran, like just Methodist, everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is
Presbyterian,
awesome.
all that.
The reason I ask is that when you was talking about the 2-year plan, I think a lot of times Pentecostals are just like, I'll just flow by the Holy Spirit, whatever the Holy Spirit does.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that we have to be prepared. We have to do our research and all those things. And then if the Holy Spirit moves, we get out the way, right?
Yes.
So
There's the art of not being lazy, but also letting go.
Yeah.
Because I planned my life and then I got cancer. And then I planned it and COVID came. And now I'm like, what's the point of falling in love with these plans? Because also I love my life more now than I ever have. And this was never part of the plan. So maybe I should just let God be the author. But at the same time, God rewards the fact that, you know, I didn't just sit around like I lost my job and then just sit around like, well, what should I do? I said, you know what? Within 2 weeks, we launched my tribe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be proactive, but also no, my tribe might be temporary. And what's the next thing? And I will be open to it. Whatever God wants to do. All I know is I want to have a good work ethic, and I think God does reward good work ethic. Not perfectionism. Not where like we lose the ministry and even sitting at the feet of Jesus, but not being lazy and actually, you know, going out there and doing the work.
So how do you feel about Click?
Click.
That's always been the thing in church. Like, we can't have Click because the Holy Spirit can't move with Click.
Oh, you mean like the
Metronome.
Metronome.
Click tracks?
I thought you meant like groups of people.
No.
Cliques.
Yeah. What I would do, like if I was gonna like start a church, I think, you know, your fast songs, your first couple songs, sure, do Click, have it be real, you know, excellent, professional. You have any instruments that you needed are in there. Once you get to like worship, though, I've always felt more like a quarterback. I'll call Audible like or a DJ where you see some of my favorite DJs. I love studying the whole DJ atmosphere when it was huge because they would come to the set, a 2-hour set. All they knew was the first song.
Yeah,
it's all they knew. Now, but they were prepared and excellent. All right, they didn't just come to the first song and then be like, "No, what do we do?" Like they were hard workers. They knew they could go anywhere. But what they would do is they would play the first song, watch the audience, and I saw an interview where he said, and then from there I would see what does my audience need tonight.
Right.
And then, because last night's audience needed something else. And I would do that when I would lead worship. We would know the first couple songs, and they're going to be done with excellence and all that. But by the third song, the whole band's ready to follow me, and we call it Audible. We need to see, do we need to press in more? Do we need to slower, speed up? What do we need? And when you do clicks, maybe you can't quite do that. So I think there's a balance of...
Well, you know, I always tell people, you can turn the click off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can after you
Not when your drummer sucks.
you're the drummer.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm not always the drummer.
That's what I'm saying. The musicians, though, it needs do everything with excellence. So even if you're not the best musician in the world, come prepared. Like, come ready to know the song. Don't be practicing Sunday morning. That should be the first time you attempted the song.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I've never seen it where you come with a couple songs and you freestyle from there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But so some people might think, well, that means you're not prepared. Actually, you have to be over prepared. Because you have to know more songs than just the 5 that you were planning to do. Yeah. And you have to be talented enough that you can make the switch. But when you are prepared and you've done your homework like that, it's crazy. The more prepared you are, the more spontaneous you can be.
Yeah.
And we've had 2-hour worship sets out of nowhere that was just absolutely powerful, where the preacher said, I don't even need to preach. The Holy Spirit is doing what needs to be, like, what's the sermon for today? Because God's already working on hearts. Boom, we're done, you know?
So that's a big thing in church, right? Like, where do we stop and where do we begin as far as worship?
Yeah. And sometimes that morning should be, like, you're like, you know what? we are forcing this. It's time to wrap up and get to the Word.
Yeah.
So there's balance. It's not like the worship team should do a 2-hour set every Sunday. It's, hey, that was good for that Sunday. The next Sunday, God might have you do one song and you get your butt off the stage because they need to get into the Bible. Like, who knows? Every week could be different. Be prepared, but be so prepared that you can do anything.
Right, which speaks to a lot bigger conversation, probably more than we have time for today. But so many people in churches, and you're speaking to all of this, so many people in churches get stuck being one-trick ponies and never really allowing themselves to dream again or to venture out beyond the box, because you know what, and I've talked about this through the years. I don't ever want to be boxed into where, well, what if I can't preach anymore? And I've literally said, what if my tongue falls off? Well, then I could still serve the church in some kind of capacity. What if I lose my legs? What if I lose my arm? Find something to do. And where we find, especially in the older generation, because as you get older, you get more comfortable. They are one-trick ponies. They have taught Sunday school for 30 years, and they believe that they are the Sunday school person. And when it's time for the church to pivot, make a change, because now the cultural dynamics of the church are now different. Now we pigeonhole the church and we say that because my tithe comes here and because who I am and because what I've done, now we're strong arming the church with our gifts whenever it's actually maybe it is time for a season to be
because
over.
you're stripping identity. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like their whole identity for 30 years is built up. I am
but that's not what God wanted.
It needs
God,
to be I am untitled.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That God does not hold us to an identity based upon our gifts, because I know that I am child of God regardless of what I do. I am a child of God because of who He is.
And
right?
I struggle with that because they said you're never going to preach again, you're never going to sing again. Well, then who am I? Like what?
Exactly.
Like that's all. That's all I do for God is I sing and I preach. If I'm not that, what am I? But you know in the Bible when it says God will give you the desires of your heart. And sometimes we think desires mean like, oh, He'll give me a new Mustang, you know. But like I think sometimes He literally gives us the desires. Like all of a sudden, I desired doing video streaming for that season.
Sure.
I don't desire that anymore. God gave me a new desire, and it was to do this tour. But my wife and I, you asked us 4 years ago.
No
we're
way.
not moving into an RV. But God changed our desires, and so if like let's say that season comes, God can give them a new desire, but you can't wrap your identity in what you've been doing for the past 30 years. You look at what does God want to do the next 30 years or 3, depending on how old the person is.
Somebody a lot smarter than me said that's why God called us human beings and not human doings.
Yes.
Right? Because we are just to be present, to be with Him. And that is enough. And incredible story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Next time you come, man, let's talk about some what we normally geek out about is just straight music, you know? We love talking about music and production and all the stuff. So
all the stuff.
Any last things where they can find you on social?
My social media stuff is at Jason David Music, but my artist name is I Am Untitled. So if you're looking on Spotify or Apple Music, all that. And I'd love to show people a checklist as we wrap it up.
Okay. Well, let's thank you for coming, and then I think we got checklist on deck.
Yeah. There we go.
I had a checklist, a to-do list of things that I wish I'd accomplished, but I only checked one box. Nine or 10 things, maybe 11, that I was hoping I'd finish before 7, but I only checked off one. Don't forget the dishes, don't forget to mow the lawn, don't forget to take the garbage out when you get home. And don't give up. And that's the only thing that I got done that day. And even the next day, all over again. 'Cause sometimes it takes all that you have just to wake up again and survive that day. Believe me, that's enough. I know it's okay. Skip the other things, I promise they can wait. Just promise me you will not skip this day. Wake up again, wake up and then don't give up. It was at the bottom with a hand-drawn box. Hard to make out, just like my scribbled thoughts. It didn't say much, but I got it done. 3 simple words, just one little task. But it took all my energy and everything I had. But I'm still here, so I must have got it done. Don't forget the laundry, separate the dark from light. Don't forget to fix the bulbs, 'cause it's too dark tonight. And one more thing, don't give up. And that's the only thing that I got done that day. And even the next day, all over again. 'Cause sometimes it takes all that you have just to wake up again and survive that day. Believe me, that's enough. I know it's okay. Skip the other things, I promise they can wait. Just promise me you will not skip this day. Wake up again, wake up and then forget the dishes, forget to mow the lawn, forget to take the garbage out when you get home. Just don't give up.